Chapter 4132. Sect Master Yun, Sect Master Yun. Hua Fei waved his hand helplessly. That's not what I meant. I'm just thanking the Fortune Gate's disciples. Alright, since that's the case, this matter is settled. What did Sect Master Hua say? I can't hear you clearly. Yun Che muttered to himself. Forget it, let's not talk about it anymore. Since the Yong'an Mountain is already like this, there's no need to talk about it anymore. Taoist Shao has already sent the Fortune Gate's disciples to the Snow/Gate. I'll follow Taoist Shao. As he spoke, Yun Che reached out and extinguished the light from the magic treasure. When Yun Che held the magic treasure in his hand, he turned around and smiled. Taoist Shao, you've seen it for yourself. Sect Master Hua is really indulging in fantasy. He wants the Fortune Gate's Yong'an Mountain to be passed down. However, due to the interference in the communication channel, I think he wants Taoist Shao to bring the Yong'an Mountain out and impart it to someone. No matter what, I think the main hall's suggestion is good. I hope Taoist Shao can consider it. Sect Master Hua's suggestion is very creative. This Shao also feels that it is refreshing to hear. However, since it is the conference hall's request, this Shao will reluctantly accept. After Shao Hua finished speaking, the two of them looked at each other and laughed loudly. Alright, the matter of the Yong'an Mountain is over. There's no need to talk about it anymore. Yun Che smiled and took out a jade slip. He raised his hand and pointed at it. The jade slip emitted a misty green brilliance, and within this brilliance, the images of 21 devil emperors appeared. Yun Che solemnly looked at Shao Hua and asked, Spiritual Master, take a look. Which devil emperor is the one that trapped Spiritual Master? Sect Master Yun, please wait a moment. Shao Hua said as his gaze fell on the images of the 21 devil emperors. After half a cup of tea's time, Shao Hua shook his head and replied, The devil emperor I met is not among these 21. Yun Che sighed. At this time, he frowned and looked at the magic treasure in his hand. He knew that it was Hua Fei's message, so he ignored it and said, As expected, every time a devil emperor appears, he changes his body. This is the 22nd one. After saying that, Yun Che passed the jade slip to Shao Hua. I'll have to trouble Spiritual Master to record the image of that devil monarch on this jade slip. Shao Hua accepted the jade slip and scanned it with his divine sense. He immediately understood what was going on and recorded the appearance of the devil monarch on the jade slip before returning it to Yun Che. Then, he looked at Yun Che and said thoughtfully, Since the devil monarch wants to trap the ruins, he must have a purpose. If it's just to kill the cultivators of the ruins, there's no need to use so many gimmicks. Every time they appear, they use different devil bodies. I think they're trying to hide their purpose. That's right. Yun Che nodded. This is also the reason why my assembly hall has been unable to figure it out for so many years. This is also the other reason why I wanted to meet Taoist Master. I wonder if Taoist Master Shao has noticed anything strange from the perspective of an outsider? Soul. Shao Hua replied without hesitation. This Shao feels that the reason why the devil race has surrounded the ruins is for the souls of cultivators. Refining the blood demon artifact? Yun Che didn't believe him and shook his head. I also thought so at the beginning. However, the devil race's blood demon artifact is usually sacrificed with the blood of living souls. Every time there's a great battle, the cultivators of the ruins will also pay attention to the matter of blood sacrifice. However, after the great battle, the devil race didn't use the devil formation to refine the blood demon artifact. Even after so many years, we haven't seen a particularly powerful blood demon artifact. But Shao Hua hesitated again. However, he only paused for a moment before continuing, The ruins are filled with wandering souls that can't fall into the yellow springs. For such wandering souls to be trapped in the ruins by the devil race, there must be a premeditated plan. Even if they haven't refined it now, it doesn't mean they won't do it in the future. Maybe they're waiting until they've killed enough cultivators and gathered enough wandering souls before starting to refine it. Yun Che was shocked. Could it be that what Lu Wuxia said is true? Misty School's Lu Wuxia, Sect Master Lu? Shao Hua's eyes flashed as he asked curiously. Yun Che nodded and said, yes. Previously, I guessed that the reason the devil race surrounded the ruins was to refine the blood demon artifact. But later on, I didn't discover any abnormalities, so I started to think about other things. Sect Master Lu always believed that the devil race's goal was souls, because she used the Misty School's secret technique to detect more and more wandering souls in the ruins. Even the disciples of the various sects with different talents also felt that the wandering souls were abnormal. However, the discussion hall never took this matter seriously. Hearing this, Xiaohua understood that the Dao sect's techniques in the ruins probably didn't have a secret technique that specialized in detecting wandering souls. Normal cultivators wouldn't be able to detect the increasing number of wandering souls in the ruins. And Lu Wuxia, who knew the secret technique, couldn't convince other cultivators, so the discussion hall didn't take the wandering souls seriously at all. Looks like I have to report this matter to the discussion hall as soon as possible. As he spoke, Yun Che naturally reached out his hand to activate the magic treasure. However, looking at the flickering light of the magic treasure, Yun Che laughed involuntarily and said, "Forget it, let's wait a little longer. I think that old bastard Hua Fei must have woken up and wants to go back on his words. We won't give him the chance to go back on his words." "That's fine too," Xiaohua said with a smile. Since the devil race hasn't started using these wandering souls to refine devil artifacts for so many years, I think they won't in the near future. If we chase the devil race away, they won't have a chance at all. Sect Master Yun also doesn't need to report in such a hurry. Actually, Yun Che changed the topic again and said, although Taoist Xiao and Sect Master Lu both think so, but I don't dare to agree. Could it be that Sect Master Yun found something strange? Xiaohua asked curiously. I did find something strange, Yun Che replied. For example, the devil race besieged the ruins. Why did the teleportation formation in the ruins malfunction? If they wanted more cultivators, why didn't they make the teleportation formation work properly and attract more cultivators? Secondly, what exactly is the devil formation that besieges the ruins? If it's a blood sacrifice devil formation, why did the devil race only besiege and not attack? Why did they only seal the connection between the ruins and the outside world and not launch a large-scale attack on the ruins? Sect Master Yun's meaning is? Xiaohua didn't quite understand. Yun Che explained, the teleportation formations in the ruins that lead to the cultivation world are either built in the void or in the starry sky. There are even many that are hidden extremely well. If they aren't very clear about these teleportation formations, it wouldn't be easy to seal these teleportation formations and even more impossible to destroy the communication channel. Xiaohua understood and said with a smile, could it be that Sect Master Yun suspects that there are humans in the ruins who are colluding with the devil race? If there are, then they must be experts of the Dao transformation realm. Yun Che nodded slightly. And there are 120 sects in the ruins. I don't know which Dao transformation expert is such a scum. Cooperating with the devil race is tantamount to asking a tiger for its skin, especially cooperating with the devil emperor. I think there won't be such a stupid cultivator, Xiaohua said with a smile. The key point is, if it's for wandering souls, there's even less need for human cultivators to cooperate with the devil race. Yun Che nodded. So following this train of thought, I suspect that the devil race besieged the ruins for so long for other purposes. Yun Che explained again. However, it's not convenient for me to explain this to other fellow Taoists in the ruins. It's not convenient for other fellow Taoists, but it's convenient for me. Xiaohua was a little surprised. Because this matter involves the purpose of my Shundao sect's establishment in the ruins. It also involves some of the ruins' secrets. If I were to leak this out, it would cause a rift between my Shundao sect and the other sects in the ruins. It would also cause the main hall to be dissatisfied with my Shundao sect. Yun Che did not hide anything from Xiaohua. Xiaohua was slightly taken aback and asked meaningfully, then why did Sect Master Yun tell me? Because this Yun came to find Taoist Xiao to form an alliance with the Fortune Gate. More importantly, I want Taoist Xiao to become my Divine Saber Gate's guest elder. Up until now, Yun Che had finally revealed his true purpose in coming here. Xiaohua smiled and waved his hand, saying, I'm just an outsider. I only came to the ruins because of an error in the transmission array. When the devil race is defeated and the devil formation surrounding the ruins is removed, I will leave the ruins with the Fortune Gate disciples. Since that's the case, what's the point of forming an alliance with the Shindao sect? There's no value in Sect Master Yun inviting me to be your guest elder. First of all, Yun Che looked at Xiaohua and said sincerely, Taoist Xiao, don't be too optimistic about defeating the devil race. My ruins and the devil race have been fighting for several hundred years, and Taoist Xiao has been in the ruins for more than a decade. When has the devil race ever shown signs of defeat? The devil formation surrounding the ruins has never made any mistakes. Therefore, I estimate that even if this stalemate continues for another 1,000 years, there might not be any results. What else? Xiaohua smiled. Could it be related to the Shindao sect's purpose in establishing a sect in the ruins? That's right. Yun Che nodded. My Shindao sect's founder was a disciple of the Supreme White Sect. He naturally came to this remote ruins to establish a sect, and this purpose is only known by each generation's Shindao sect master. And this purpose is very likely to be the same as the devil race surrounding the ruins. Oh, then, what is your Shindao sect's purpose in coming to the ruins? Xiaohua was even more puzzled. Yun Che smiled bitterly. If I knew, would I still need to discuss with Taoist Xiao here? Aren't you the Shindao sect's sect master? Xiaohua was shocked. Of course I'm the Shindao sect's sect master. Yun Che's face was filled with shame as he replied, but my Shindao sect's purpose in coming to the ruins. I don't know when it was lost. When the previous generation's sect master passed the position of sect master to me, he only said this. As for the specific purpose, he doesn't know either. Damn it, there's such a strange thing. Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I can't do anything about it. Yun Che replied, after all, it's already lost. Every generation of sect masters used their power to search for it, but there were no clues. And this time, the devil race surrounding the ruins made me think of this matter. After confirming it left and right, I'm even more certain that the devil race and my Shindao sect have the same purpose. Chapter 4133. So, Xiaohua asked, Sect Master Yun is afraid that after the Shindao sect's goal is exposed, there will be a rift between the Shindao sect and the other sects in the ruins, so he wants to form an alliance with my Fortune Gate. He even wants me to join hands with you to resist the threats of the other sects. Indeed. Yun Che nodded. The Fortune Gate is now famous in the ruins, and Taoist Zhao's battle with the Devil Emperor has also spread far and wide. Especially Taoist Zhao's 3 friends, they have already become godlike existences in the ruins. If I don't form an alliance with the Fortune Gate, can I find anyone more suitable? Sect Master Yun, this is your ruins' internal affairs. Xiaohua didn't relent. It's not suitable for my Fortune Gate to participate. Actually, Taoist Xiao doesn't need to worry too much. Yun Che smiled. The Shindao sect and the Fortune Gate's alliance is just to borrow the Fortune Gate's prestige. My Shindao sect may not necessarily start a war with other sects, and of course, we won't let the Fortune Gate's butcher's knife cut the human race's fellow Taoists. As for Taoist Xiao and his friends, we only need to intimidate the Misty School's Lu Wuxia and the Incense School's Emolianshi. Sect Master Yun has a good plan. Xiaohua sighed, looking at the clouds in the sky as if he was thinking. Yun Che hurriedly smiled and said, It's nothing, it's just a fox borrowing the tiger's might, please help me. I also don't dare to trust other human cultivators. If I don't deal with them properly, wouldn't I be walking into a trap? But I'm more suspicious, Xiaohua said with a bitter smile. Based on Taoist Zhao's background, you're naturally the most suspicious. But Taoist Zhao's friends are the devil race's nemesis. No matter how stupid the devil race is, they wouldn't collude with their natural nemesis, right? That's true. Xiaohua nodded slightly, expressing his agreement. Hearing that Xiaohua had the intention to relent, Yun Che struck while the iron was hot. If the Fortune Gate and my Shindao sect ally, and Taoist Xiao becomes my Shindao sect's guest elder, My Shundao sect will definitely provide the Fortune Gates disciples with a complete cultivation technique. Don't worry, Taoist Master Xiao. My Shundao sect's cultivation method is the real deal. It comes from the Taibai sect and is definitely 100 times better than that of the Yong'an Mountain. Also, if the Devil Clan is defeated in the future and the ruins regains its connection with the outside world, Taoist Master Xiao will have to use the star chart to return to the original realm through the teleportation array. Coincidentally, I have the Taibai sect's latest complete star chart, which can help Taoist Master Xiao. Of course, if Taoist Master Xiao feels that this is not enough, you can also state your conditions. Let's see if my Shundao sect can satisfy you. Is this alliance long-term or short-term? Is the defeat of the demons the limit? Xiaohua asked. Of course, it would be best if it's a long-term one, Yun Che said with a smile. But if spiritual master Xiao feels that it's too long, a short-term one is fine too. Xiaohua pondered for a moment and felt that this kind of alliance wouldn't bring him any harm. It also didn't require him to make a move on behalf of the Shundao sect. It was just a deterrent effect. The so-called Fortune sect's disciples all came from his space. If he felt that something was wrong, he could just put these Fortune sect's disciples into his space. He was all alone, so what did he have to fear of the Shundao sect? Moreover, the ruins was the higher realm. Who knew if he would need the help of the Shundao sect or even the Taibai sect in the future? This alliance would only bring him benefits and no harm. Thus, Xiaohua smiled and said, since it's an alliance, then it's good to be long-term. Why do you need to do something short-term? Great. Yun Che raised his right hand and smiled. This Yun knows that Taoist Master Xiao is the most forthright. Don't be anxious, don't be anxious. Xiaohua smiled and waved his hand. Sect Master Yun's conditions are very good, but they are all conditions for the alliance. If you want this Xiao to be a guest elder, these conditions are still not enough. Then what does Taoist Master Xiao need? If my Shundao sect has them, we'll definitely offer them to you with both hands. Yun Che didn't put down his hand and asked with a smile. This? Xiaohua was also a bit speechless. He needed the primordial spirit cultivation technique, and now that he had already obtained the inheritance of the 9 sects, these techniques might not be as high level as the Shundao sects, but he didn't need to cultivate them extremely well. These techniques were already enough. Moreover, the Shundao sect would also provide him with techniques. Suddenly, Xiaohua's eyes lit up and said with a smile, this Xiao is refining a kind of magic treasure. Currently, I'm lacking the innate mother of earth and innate mother of wood. I wonder if the Shundao sect can provide them? Hearing Xiaohua's words, an extremely strange expression appeared on Yun Che's face, and he looked at Xiaohua with a bit of disbelief. What's wrong? Xiaohua rubbed his nose and said with a smile, could it be that Sect Master Yun feels that this Xiao is asking for too much? No, Yun Che hurriedly explained. This Yun didn't mean that. This Yun only felt that Taoist Xiao becoming my Shundao sect's guest elder was destined by the heavens, and not this Yun's idea on a whim. As he spoke, Yun Che took out an octagonal magic treasure that looked like a starfish from his spatial ring. That magic treasure even seemed to be alive, and its antennae slightly trembled. The magic treasure fell in midair, and a kind of water-like fluctuation spread out in all directions. Then, Yun Che took out a jade slip and handed it to Xiaohua, saying, Taoist Xiao, this is this Yun's magic treasure, Feijing. This jade slip contains the simple method of controlling Feijing. Take a look at it first, and take away the innate mother of earth. This Yun isn't willing to give this magic treasure to fellow Taoist. Ah? How is that possible? Sect Master Yun really has the innate mother of earth? Xiaohua was also dumbfounded. This was the innate mother of earth, and he had searched for so many years without any news. Today, he only wanted to make things difficult for Yun Che. How could it appear in front of him so easily? Taoist Xiao. You don't believe this Yun? Yun Che's tone carried a hint of blame, but his eyes were also filled with pride. No. Xiaohua took the jade slip and used his divine sense to scan it while waving his hand. This Xiao is too surprised. This is the innate mother of earth, a natural object, something this Xiao has always dreamed of. I didn't expect Sect Master Yun to take it out without even blinking an eye. Hee hee. Yunche laughed. This innate Mother of Earth was obtained by this old man and Lu Wuxia in the Luo God-forbidden area 3,000 years ago. However, this object is not very useful to this old man's cultivation, and natural objects are not useful to ordinary disciples. If I didn't meet Taoist Xiao today, I'm afraid that in a few hundred years, this old man would have given this object to the Moon Palace. Then, thank you, Sect Master Yun. Xiaohua looked at the jade slip, returned it to Yun Che and thanked him. Yun Che waved his hand generously and said, "You don't have to be so polite, Taoist Xiao. From now on, you are a guest elder of my Shindao sect, and we are family." This Yun doesn't dare to boast too much, but to say that the Shindao sect is the leader of the Shindao sect is not an exaggeration. Moreover, my Shindao sect has many treasures, and what I gave Taoist Xiao is nothing. What's more, my Shindao sect is a branch of the White sect. When Taoist Xiao reaches the 9th level of the Tao transformation realm and rushes into the 9th level of the heavens, this Yun can recommend Taoist Xiao to the White Star realm of the White sect, which is more likely than the Moon realm. Then this Xiao thanks Sect Master Yun in advance. Xiaohua smiled and looked at the Feijing that was swimming in the air. Yun Che understood Xiaohua's meaning. He raised his hand, and the Feijing fell in front of Xiaohua. Xiaohua grabbed it and cast a spell. Oh! The Feijing actually let out a series of howls, and then clouds like bubbles appeared on the surface of the Feijing's body. As the clouds boiled, the Feijing once again emitted an earthy yellow brilliance. The light was so sharp that Xiaohua couldn't help but feel a stabbing pain when he looked at it. Profound green light. Xiaohua was overjoyed. He immediately took out his spatial ring, and his mind and divine sense fell on the light. See? Even though Xiaohua's divine sense was as condensed as steel, when it fell on the profound green light, it was still easily pierced by this innate treasure. Xiaohua didn't dare to pay too much attention to his divine sense, and his mind also felt as if it was burning. When Xiaohua clenched his teeth, the profound green light and clouds in front of him disappeared. Yun Che was dumbfounded. He looked at the ordinary spatial ring in Xiaohua's hand and said in a low voice, "Xiao, Taoist Xiao, your spatial ring can actually store an innate Earth Mother?" Ah! Xiaohua smiled and put away the spatial ring. He nodded and said, "This Xiao's spatial ring is definitely not an ordinary spatial ring." Alright. Yun Che thought that this was Xiaohua's secret, so he withdrew his gaze from the spatial ring. He took out another spatial ring from his bosom and handed it to Xiaohua, saying, "This is the condition that I promised Taoist Xiao. I asked Taoist Xiao to accept it." This Xiao thanks Sect Master Yun on behalf of the Fortune Gate disciples. Xiaohua said with a smile as he received the spatial ring. But when he swept his divine sense over the spatial ring, he was stunned. He said in surprise, "Sect Master Yun, the things in this spatial ring seem to have increased by quite a bit." Hee hee. Yun Che said with a smile, "This Yun has a request from Taoist Xiao, so naturally I have to show enough sincerity. Since Taoist Xiao is so sincere, this Yun will naturally give this extra to Taoist Xiao." Xiaohua certainly wouldn't be polite with Yun Che. He took the spatial ring and smacked his lips, saying, "The Shindao sect is really rich and imposing. Taoist Xiao is wrong." Yun Che was also in a good mood. He said, "It should be our Shindao sect." "Ah yes. Xiaohua nodded. "In the future, my Fortune Gate can also take advantage of the Shindao sect's glory." Yun Che smiled and flew into the air, saying, "Let's go. Taoist Xiao, accompany this Yun to the Snow/sect and let this Yun see the bravery of the Fortune Gate disciples." Alright. Xiaohua followed behind Yun Che and said, "As long as Sect Master Yun leads the way, this Xiao is born with a poor sense of direction." Poor sense of direction? Yun Che was stunned and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He said, "Taoist Xiao is a Tao transformation cultivator, how can you not know the way?" Xiaohua shrugged and said helplessly, "There's no other way. This is innate. This Xiao can't explain it clearly." "Alright Taoist Xiao, please." Yunche really hadn't seen a cultivator who couldn't even know the way. At this time, Yunche's expression changed slightly. He smiled and took out the communication artifact again. Looking at the flashing brilliance on it, he said, "Old Hua is anxious." If this was a normal situation, this Yun would ignore him and not look for him again. Today, he kept sending messages, so he must have come to his senses. Saying this, Yunche formed a seal on the pagoda-shaped communication artifact. The scene of the meeting hall in the clouds appeared again. Without waiting for Hua Fei to speak, Yunche said with a smile, "Old Hua, isn't it the Yong and Mountains orthodoxy? Since you've agreed, don't go back on your word." Hua Fei said in a bad mood, "When did this old man say that he would let the Fortune Gate inherit the Yong and Mountains orthodoxy? You just wanted to give face to Taoist Shao. Of course, this is nothing. The Yong and Mountain is located at the southwest border. Their cultivation technique is very strange and ordinary cultivators may not be able to cultivate it. If this matter is not brought up in the meeting hall, no one will think too much about it." "Thank you, Sect Master Hua." Yunche was in a good mood. He cupped his hands and smiled. "This old man is looking for you for another matter." Hua Fei waved his hand and said with a strange expression. Yunche was surprised and asked curiously, "What is it?" When Sect Master Yun turned off the communication artifact, the meeting hall received news that the devil race is going to attack the Xianchao Peak. However, this news hasn't been confirmed yet. Hua Fei replied indifferently, "This Hua wants Sect Master Yun to stay away from the Xianchao Peak." Unfortunately, Sect Master Yun's communication artifact has been turned off. The devil race is going to invade our Shindao sect? Yunche frowned in disbelief. "How is this possible?" Hua Fei nodded. "Exactly. This Hua also doesn't dare to believe it, so I've already sent my disciples to investigate. However, if this news is true, then it's time for the devil race to reveal their true intentions. The final battle is probably not far away." Chapter 41-34. "Alright, that's why I'm looking for you. Sect Master Yun, you can make your own decision." After saying that, Hua Fei quickly closed the communication channel without any delay. "Sect Master Yun?" Xiao Hua reminded, "It's better to believe it than not. Sect Master should return to the Xianchao Peak to take a look." "There's no need." Yunche waved his hand and said, "If the devil race dared to invade my Shindao sect, they would have already invaded the ruins. If I'm not mistaken, this news is fake. We should go to the snow/school." Xiaohua didn't fly forward and said with a smile, "Sect Master Yun, don't forget the tragedy of Mount Yong'en and the snow/school. If the devil race really wants to attack the Shindao sect, it won't be good if Sect Master Yun doesn't stay on the Xianchao Peak." Hearing Xiaohua's advice and thinking about the tragedy of Mount Yong'en, Yunche was a little hesitant. He thought for a while and said embarrassedly, "I just formed an alliance with the Fortune Gate. Now that the Fortune Gate is helping the snow/school, it's not appropriate for me to not go. Besides, I promised Spiritual Master Shao." "Hee, Sect Master Yun, you don't have to make it difficult." Xiaohua said with a smile, "Snow/school has a few good friends and hundreds of thousands of disciples. There shouldn't be any trouble. I just want to accompany Sect Master Yun to take a look. Actually, I have other things to do. Since Sect Master Yun doesn't want to go, I won't go either." "Spiritual Master Shao, what else do you want?" Yunche was grateful that Xiaohua gave him a way out. He didn't think that Xiaohua would give him an answer. Who would have thought that Xiaohua would reply without hesitation, "This Xiao has always wanted to visit the Misty Sect in Ping River. Unfortunately, this Xiao had just arrived at the southwest border when I had a battle with the Devil Emperor. Now, I have come to Mount Yong. Now that I finally have some free time, I'm going to Ping River." Heh. A strange expression appeared on Yunche's face. He blinked his eyes and said with a helpless expression, "Spiritual Master Shao, the moment you came to the ruins, you wanted to visit Lu Wuxia. Are you looking down on me and Mo Lianxi? Or are you after Sect Master Lu's beauty? That Lu Wuxia is even prettier than the sect leader of Yong and Mountain." Ugh. Xiaohua was originally a little confused by Yunche's expression, but after hearing Yunche's words, The image of a beautiful woman's curvaceous figure unconsciously appeared in his mind. He hurriedly waved his hand and said, "Sect Master Yun must be joking." When this Xiao heard the name of the Misty School, this Xiao didn't know the name of the Misty School's sect master, much less that Lu Wuxia was a female cultivator. Looks like spiritual master Xiao really has some other secrets. Yun Che smiled mysteriously and waved his hand. Since that's the case, this Yun won't ask anymore. Let's go. I was just about to take the teleportation array. Since you have no sense of direction, we can travel together. When we reach there, I will find a Shundao sect disciple to accompany you to Ping River. Good. Xiao Hua clapped his hands. Thank you for your trouble, Sect Master Yun. Then, the two of them moved and turned into rainbows in midair as they flew towards a certain place. More than 10 days later, on top of a towering mountain range, in a lush forest, Xiao Hua flew out with a female disciple wearing a clean Taoist robe. That female disciple's appearance wasn't particularly beautiful, but her brows were filled with elegance and there was also a kind of purity in her eyes. As soon as the two of them flew out of the forest, that disciple respectfully pointed into the distance and said, "Senior Xiao, 1,000 miles ahead of us is the mountain gate of my fragrant cult. There are no teleportation arrays that can be used within this distance. I will have to trouble Senior to fly there with this junior." "No problem," Xiao Hua said with a smile. "There are many teleportation arrays in the ruins. It only takes a few days to travel a few million miles. The realm this old man is in doesn't have any teleportation arrays. If you want to travel 1,000,000 miles, you either have to use a flying magic tool or fly there yourself. This 1,000 miles is just a stroll in the park for this old man." At this point, Xiao Hua was slightly stunned, as if he had thought of something. The woman pursed her lips and said with a smile, "There are also benefits to not having a teleportation array. Frequently using the flying technique is extremely good for condensing true qi. I presume that Taoist's unpredictable divine ability is cultivated from these subtle aspects." "That's right, Bo Yun," Xiao Hua said. "In the realm this old man is in, there are often some flying demonic beasts that can be used. However, in this old man's ruins, not only are there no flying demonic beasts, there aren't even demonic beasts used by cultivators." "Shoo." Hearing Xiao Hua's question, the female disciple of the Misty School named Bo Yun's expression changed slightly. She whispered, "Senior Xiao, please know. The ruins are in the cultivation world that belongs to the Moon God Palace. Moon beasts hate demonic beasts, so there aren't many demonic beasts in the ruins. Except for some low-level demonic beasts that can be hunted by my Dao sect disciples and obtain demonic cores, there aren't many demonic beasts that are particularly powerful. As for the Taibai astral realm that is closest to the Moon God Palace, according to what this junior knows, there are many demonic beasts. The Dao sect cultivators there can cultivate together with the demonic beasts and fight together. There are even many wonderful legends." Sweat. Seeing a string of little stars appear in Bo Yun's eyes, Xiao Hua immediately understood what this little girl was thinking, so he coughed a few times and said, "Miss Bo, please lead the way." "Yes, this junior understands." Bo Yun stuck out her tongue and hurriedly urged the cloud to rush in front of Xiao Hua. However, it was only a moment before she made a fuss again. "Oh, this junior forgot to send a message to the sect master. Senior Xiao is such a famous cultivator. If I don't send a message, it will break the etiquette." Saying that, Bo Yun hurriedly raised her hand and was about to take out the communication talisman from the Sumeru ring on her finger. When Xiao Hua heard about etiquette, he felt a headache coming. He hurriedly stopped her and said, "Miss Bo, this old man hates etiquette the most. It's better if you don't send a message." It turns out that Senior Xiao also hates etiquette. When Bo Yun heard this, her face lit up with joy. "Me too." When this junior was young, every time a senior came to visit Ping River, this junior had to stand in the air with a group of sisters to greet them. No matter if it was windy or raining, or if it was under the sun, I couldn't use my magic power. There were several times when my sister's skin was tanned. "That's right," Xiao Hua said with a smile. "A visit is just a visit, why make it so grand?" "Then this junior won't send a message." Bo Yun stuck out her tongue with a smile. Otherwise, once senior leaves, there might be young disciples slandering senior behind your back. It seems like you did this a lot when you were young. Xiaohua smiled and pointed at Bo Yun. Hee, I accidentally exposed myself, Bo Yun said with a bit of coquettishness. But when we arrive at the sect, senior has to explain for this junior that it was senior who didn't want to send a message. Let's go. Xiaohua unfolded his Taoist robe and a gust of wind wrapped around Bo Yun's thin figure. He said, with your dilly-dallying like this, I'm afraid you won't be able to fly home even if it's dark today. Gidge. Sensing her body moving like lightning, Bo Yun actually giggled. She knew that Xiaohua was joking with her. 1,000 miles of land was covered in just a moment. When more than 10 large cities appeared on the ground in the distance, Xiaohua knew that this must be the Misty School. Xiaohua's figure stopped in the air. His gaze swept across the ground, and his eyes actually revealed a trace of surprise. Xiaohua's figure was a boundless mountainous area. On the mountainous area, there were more than 10 cities with different shapes. Between these cities, there was a river that separated them. Above the river, there was a mist that looked like it was evaporating. Looking at these more than 10 large cities, they were built with large bluestone stones. The bluestone stones were engraved with runes. These runes emitted various colors of brilliance under the sun. Although it was faint, as the brilliance flashed, an obscure fluctuation attracted countless amounts of world's origin chi to descend. All of the large cities were shrouded in a layer of faint mist. Under the mist, there were tens of thousands of different forms of the world. Whether it was an endless stream of horses and carriages, or a weaving stream of people, it was noisy and bustling. Xiaohua didn't open his illusion breaker eyes. He only used his divine sense to sweep across. He had already sensed that the world's origin chi within a few thousand miles was abnormally dense. Not only was the world's origin chi of water flowing on the ground like water dragons, even the large cities had a dense earth origin chi of heaven and earth like a black turtle nailed to the ground. A kind of majestic feeling was born out of thin air, as if a giant mountain was standing in front of Xiaohua's eyes. See! Xiaohua's Misty School's sect protecting array actually gave him the feeling of seeing a mountain peak on the flat ground. He couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. He thought to himself, the Misty School's array is indeed powerful. This water flow should be a transformation of the innate divine restriction array. Those large cities are also the structure of the Earth Clan Soul Condensing Array. Of course, these two arrays can't be considered complete. They aren't even 30% of the divine restriction array. However, the Misty School was able to ingeniously combine these two arrays. It is really rare. The Misty School is indeed worthy of being one of the 3 great schools of the ruins. I just don't know. Is this Misty School related to the Misty School in this Xiao's memory? Boom, boom, boom. Just as Xiaohua was thinking, dazzling sparks flew out from the large cities at the same time. These sparks landed in the air and transformed into the words, "Welcome Spiritual Master Xiao to the Misty School." Then, woo-woo. There was a burst of sobbing sound of water. Water vapor flew out from the Ping River. This water vapor rushed into the air and burst open. Within 100 miles, petals condensed from water vapor flashed under the sunlight, sparkling and translucent. In the end there is still a guard of honor. Seeing this, how could Xiaohua not know that this was the Misty School welcoming him? He also understood in his heart that since he left the Misty School's teleportation array, even if Bo Yun didn't send a message, how could the disciple guarding the teleportation array not report his whereabouts to the school? Moreover, he didn't see any patrolling disciples along the way, so of course they were deliberately avoiding him. Following a burst of music from the central city, a waterfall that was several miles long flew out from the city. This waterfall was like a grassland blown by the spring wind. Grass and flowers were born from the waterfall and quickly spread out in the air. In the blink of an eye, it landed below Xiaohua's feet. At the same time, a voice that was even more beautiful than the music came from the waterfall. Misty School's Lu Wuxia greets Spiritual Master Xiao. Chapter 4135. Then, without waiting for the sound to dissipate, Countless grass and flowers flew out from the waterfall and gathered in the air to form a human figure more than 10 zhang tall. The human figure slowly shrank. The grass turned into white skin, and the flowers turned into a spring beauty. In just the blink of an eye, a charming woman wearing colorful clothes appeared in front of Xiaohua. Her lips were slightly curled, and she had a faint smile on her face. The woman's gaze landed on the somewhat dumbstruck Xiaohua's face. Then she smiled sweetly. This smile was unparalleled. It was as if a group of butterflies had spread their wings from the corner of the woman's eyebrows, taking away the color of the entire world. Behind the woman, the flowers and plants were moving and clouds were being born. Some men and women of different ages were dressed in different clothes. Their faces were filled with curiosity as their gazes fell on Xiaohua's body. Sect Master Lu. Xiaohua was a little absent-minded and almost stuttered, but in an instant he shook his head and came to his senses. A wry smile appeared on his face as he cupped his hands and said, "Fortune Gates Xiaohua greets Sect Master Lu. But Sect Master Lu's joke is a little too big." Hee. The woman's lips trembled slightly as she replied, "I know that Taoist Xiao doesn't like etiquette, so I didn't dare to make it public. But since Taoist Xiao is coming to my Misty School for the first time, how can I not leave a deep impression on Taoist Xiao?" "Alright." Xiaohua smiled. "Sect Master Lu has left a deep impression on me. I'm afraid it won't be easy for me to forget." "That's good." Lu Wuxia stretched out her hand, and a cloud-like handkerchief appeared, covering her mouth. She raised her other hand and said, "These are my Misty School's elders and hall masters." When they heard that the famous Taoist Xiao was coming, they were all excited and came out to welcome him. "I had no choice but to bring them here." "I am Xiaohua. Greetings, fellow Taoists." Xiaohua naturally couldn't be negligent and greeted everyone with a smile. "We greet Taoist Xiao." Seeing that Xiaohua was extremely humble, which was very different from his reputation, the group of cultivators were also happy and bowed. "First, a simple greeting. I'll continue later." Lu Wuxia's voice sounded very graceful, but her tone was unquestionable. "Spiritual Master Xiao, please come with me." "Sect Leader Lu, please." Xiaohua raised his hand, and a series of chimes rang out. The flowers and plants in the air swayed, and Xiaohua, Lu Wuxia, and the rest landed in the center of the city. Under the clouds and mist, the scenery in the city was naturally different from what one could see outside. The palaces, pavilions, and flowers were all incomparably exquisite. The male and female disciples flying around in the scenery were all dragons and phoenixes among men. They were even more beautiful than in a painting. When Xiaohua landed, there was another huge palace. There weren't many decorations in this palace, and there weren't any ordinary tables. There were only all kinds of spirit herbs and spirit flowers. Even the walls of the palace were painted with countless strange flowers and plants. It was really a kingdom of flowers. Looking at the sky above the palace, there was a rising sun hanging high in the sky, and layers of clouds floating in the sky. A cool breeze brushed past one's face, and bursts of flower fragrance assailed one's nostrils. Xiaohua looked around and sighed. "Sect Leader Lu, this Xiao has guessed countless times what it would be like to enter the Misty School, but I've never thought that the Misty School would be like this." Why did Spiritual Master Xiao guess countless times? Could it be that Spiritual Master Xiao has long wanted to come to my Misty School? Lu Wuxia's two innocent eyes stared at Xiaohua with a puzzled expression. Xiaohua smiled. "Indeed. I won't hide it from Sect Leader Lu. This Xiao also has a Misty School in this Xiao's memory. However, this Xiao doesn't remember what that Misty School looks like. So when this Xiao heard that there was a Misty School in ruins, this Xiao naturally wanted to come and visit Sect Leader Lu. So that's how it is." Lu Wuxia nodded and asked probingly. "But, looking at Spiritual Master Zhao's expression, it seems like you're disappointed?" "There's disappointment, but there's also a pleasant surprise." Xiaohua smiled. Pingzhang's Misty School doesn't seem to be the Misty School that this Xiao was looking for. However, Sect Leader Lu's Misty School has opened this Xiao's eyes. Hee, that's good." Lu Wuxia covered her mouth and smiled again. She looked around and said, Spiritual Master Xiao, other than coming to see if my Misty School is the Misty School in Spiritual Master Xiao's memory, is there anything else? Naturally, I want to exchange my cultivation with Sect Leader Lu. I hope that Sect Leader Lu's experience can give this Xiao some enlightenment. Xiao Hua smiled and replied, It's inevitable that we'll interact with each other. I heard that Spiritual Master Xiao came from outside the realm, so I've always wanted to visit. Later, I heard that the Fortune Gate's disciples are brave and good at fighting, much stronger than the disciples of Ruins, so I'm even more envious. Lu Wuxia said again. However, before that, the elders and hall masters have many questions that they want to ask Spiritual Master Xiao. I hope that Spiritual Master Xiao will not be stingy with his guidance. After saying that, Lu Wuxia waved her hand and dozens of flower buds appeared in the hall. These flower buds bloomed, revealing a pink jade chair. Lu Wuxia smiled and said, Spiritual Master Xiao, please sit. Sect Leader Lu, please. Xiao Hua politely raised his hand and the two of them sat down. The elders and hall masters of the Misty School also sat down. Xiao Hua looked around and said with a smile, Hee, fellow Taoists, please speak. This Xiao will tell you everything he knows. Spiritual Master Xiao, which realm did you come from? A woman hurriedly said. This concubine heard that Spiritual Master came from the 3 continents, but this concubine searched the Moon God realm, Taibai Star realm, Gingri Morning realm and other nearby realms, but there seems to be no record of the 3 continents. Fellow Taoists' first question has stumped this Xiao. Xiao Hua said with a smile. This Xiao was originally teleporting, but the teleportation channel suddenly changed. This Xiao came out of the collapsed teleportation channel with great difficulty, but was already in the ruins. This Xiao doesn't know where the 3 continents are, and where the ruins are. Why is this Xiao doing his best to fight against the devil race with the disciples of ruins? It's because I want to quickly find the teleportation formation to return to the 3 continents. So Spiritual Master Xiao is already lost. An even prettier female cultivator said with a smile. However, if Spiritual Master Xiao doesn't know where the 3 continents are, how can you find the teleportation formation? Without the teleportation formation, with Spiritual Master Xiao's strength at the 9th stage of the Dao transformation realm, it's impossible for him to not get lost while flying in the starry sky. Yes. Xiao Hua nodded and said with a smile, This Xiao knows all this, but it's hard to leave one's homeland. If there's a trace of opportunity, this Xiao will look for it. Even if this Xiao fails, this Xiao will still try. Also, an older male cultivator asked again, Spiritual Master Xiao, it's said that when you came to the ruins, you seemed to be alone. How did you suddenly get 100,000 Fortune Gate disciples? What kind of spatial magic treasure do you have in your hand that can hold so many people? This Xiao Hua hesitated for a moment, then raised his hand and took out the Kunlun mirror. He said with a smile, This Xiao's magic treasure is called Kunlun mirror? Clear sky mirror? It's really this supreme treasure? How is this possible? Before Xiao Hua could speak, the group of Misty School cultivators couldn't help but cry out in surprise. Even Lu Wuxia's eyes revealed a strange look. After the group of cultivators recovered from their shock, they looked at Lu Wuxia, obviously afraid of something. Lu Wuxia raised her hand and pointed at the ground. Countless tender leaves flew out and turned into a green whirlwind that covered the entire hall. Then Lu Wuxia asked softly, Spiritual Master Xiao, do the 3 continents belong to the Wenchang Sage domain or the Heavens Equal Dao realm? Which supreme treasure is this? Where did you get it from? Wenchang Sage domain? Heavens Equal Dao realm? Xiao Hua was stunned. He knew where these 2 realms were. He smiled and said, Everyone is wrong. I's magic treasure is the heaven-raising mirror. It has nothing to do with the Kunlun mirror or the clear sky mirror. As he said that, Xiao Hua circulated his magic power, and the Kunlun mirror emitted a faint yellow light. Looking at the Kunlun mirror's light, Lu Wuxia's eyes revealed a look of understanding. She smiled and said, So it's not a divine item like the Kunlun mirror or the clear sky mirror. You really gave I a fright. That's... Xiaohua kept the Kunlun mirror and said with a smile, "I's just a Dao actualization realm cultivator. How could I get such a divine item?" But Xiaohua's tone changed again, and he said curiously, "In my 3 continents, there seems to be a legend of the Kunlun mirror and the clear sky mirror. But these 2 divine items seem to be 2 different things. Everyone, why did you call out 2 names when you saw this inconspicuous magic treasure of mine?" This. The group of cultivators hesitated again. Lu Wuxia thought for a while and said with a smile, "From what I know, the Wenchang Sage domain has the clear sky mirror, and the Heavens Equal Dao realm has the Kunlun mirror. These 2 are supreme treasures of the realm. But these 2 supreme treasures are exactly the same. Even their power and effects are the same. The 2 realms have caused many waves because of this." Taoist Xiao suddenly took out a spatial magic treasure that is similar to these 2 supreme treasures. Naturally, I was shocked. "Sigh, Taoist Xiao, I really hope that you came from these 2 realms. Just by relying on the supreme treasures of the realms, I'm afraid that you can scare the devil race away. Unfortunately, my ruins is just an extremely remote corner of the cultivation world." "I see." Xiaohua smiled. Although he understood why the cultivators of the Misty School called the Kunlun mirror by 2 names, he was even more confused. In the hidden Immortal continent, the Kunlun mirror was clearly the Kunlun mirror, and the clear sky mirror was clearly the clear sky mirror. Although Xiaohua had never seen what the clear sky mirror looked like, looking at Sun Jian's appearance, these 2 magic treasures were probably different. Of course, what made Xiaohua even more confused was that he clearly had the Kunlun mirror in his hand, and the immortal emperor of the Immortal Palace also had the clear sky mirror. Why were there also the clear sky mirror and the Kunlun mirror in the Wenchang Sage domain and the Heavens Equal Dao realm? Could it be that the one in his hand was a fake? Forget it. I don't care if it's fake or not." After thinking for a moment, Xiaohua smiled. He didn't have any foundation. Obtaining such a magic treasure was already extremely lucky. Who cared if it was real or not? Chapter 4136. Hearing Lu Wuxia's words, Xiaohua smiled and said to Lu Wuxia, "Sect Master Lu, don't be impatient. Although there aren't any famous cultivators in the ruins, the unity of the cultivators in the ruins is what we rely on the most. Hundreds of sects will work together to resist the demons. If 1 year isn't enough, then 10 years, then 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years. As long as one of us is alive, as long as this person is still alive, we won't let the demons take a single step into the ruins." Good. Lu Wuxia clapped her hands and praised, "Our human race has such integrity, as Taoist Xiao said. We will definitely be able to keep the demons out of the ruins." "Sect Master Lu, you flatter me," Xiaohua said humbly. "This Xiao is just saying." On the front line of the war, the disciples of the ruins used their blood and lives to carry out the mission. They are the true integrity of the human race. "That's right, Taoist Xiao is right," Lu Wuxia said in admiration. "I have always been thinking and hoping that the Moon God Palace or other realms would be able to help us. However, I didn't expect that the one who can truly resist the demons is ourselves." Lu Wuxia asked again, "That's right, I also have a question. Who was the demon emperor that trapped Taoist Xiao that day? What about the fierce battle that day? Can Taoist Xiao tell us in detail?" Of course. Xiaohua nodded and told them about the fierce battle at the White Cloud Monastery. Finally, after some thought, he also told them about the battle at Mount Yong'an. The cultivators were dumbfounded. After all, they had heard of the strength of the zombies and had even fought against the demons of the zombies. However, they had never seen a demon emperor that could turn all the disciples of Mount Yong'an into zombies. The death of hundreds of thousands of disciples was nothing in their eyes. However, when they thought of hundreds of thousands or millions of disciples being controlled by a witch and doing things they didn't know, these cultivators couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. Their expressions changed slightly. Seeing this, Xiaohua smiled and waved his hand. It said that a foot-tall demon is 10 feet tall. However, demons are demons and we humans are humans. Humans have hot-bloodedness, humanity, ambition, and fighting spirit. This is something that the demons can't compare to. Even though the zombies are powerful, they are nothing before the fighting spirit of the human race and the divine abilities of the Taoist cultivators. With the help of a few of my good friends and Shundao sect's sect Master Yun, the matter of Yong and Mountain was easily settled. If it were you, it would have been the same. That's right. Lu Wuxia quickly chimed in with a smile. Our Misty School has long passed down a secret technique. As long as you cultivate it, you won't be taken advantage of by the zombies. At this point, Lu Wuxia's eyebrows turned and she asked curiously, why is Yun Che also going to Mount Yong'an? Why didn't he come to Pingjiang? Sect Master Yun is in a hurry to return to the sect. Judging from Lu Wuxia's tone, it sounded like she was on good terms with Yun Che. Xiaohua couldn't help but recall Yun Che's earlier tone. Xiaohua smiled thoughtfully and said, the assembly hall has received news that the devil race might launch a large-scale attack on Hai Dan Peak. How is that possible? Lu Wuxia smiled. Yun Che's worries are groundless. If the devil race attacks Hai Dan Peak, they'll reveal their true intentions. Our ruins and the devil race will have to fight to the death, and the current situation doesn't seem to have reached that stage yet. This Xiao thinks so too. Xiaohua nodded. But at this time, an earth-shattering explosion suddenly rang out. It was as if a giant hand had thrown the entire Pingjiang into a pot of boiling water. Xiaohua's expression changed greatly. He looked at Lu Wuxia in disbelief. A trace of understanding flashed through Lu Wuxia's eyes. She hurriedly raised a hand and pointed. A dark green brilliance rushed into the top of the hall. Then, as if the color had faded, the sunlight and white clouds in the hall disappeared with a whoosh. A sky covered in devil clouds suddenly appeared in front of everyone's eyes. A diversion. Xiaohua couldn't help but tremble. At this point, how could he not know what the devil race was planning? The demon race had spread the news that they were going to attack the Godly Knife faction. They had secretly sent their army to Ping River. While the attention of the conference hall was focused on the Xianchao Peak, they were going to attack the Misty sect. Moreover, Xiaohua really admired his own luck. If he had stayed at Yong and Mountain, or followed Yun Che to Shundao sect, it would have been fine. But he just had to come to Misty School, and just had to encounter the devil race besieging Pingjiang. Looking at Lu Wuxia again, it was only a moment of surprise before her eyes flashed with a stern look. She calmly said, it's actually the time for a decisive battle. This sect master has underestimated the devil race. Although they don't have any humanity, they also have brains. Normal cultivators know how to make a diversion, but there aren't many who can use it so well. Many elders of my discussion hall, sect master. It seems like we have to face the wall and reflect on our mistakes again. Everyone. We're here. The cultivators of Misty School all stood up and bowed in response. Lu Wuxia slowly stood up. Her eyes looked at the devil figures in the sky, and her tone was abnormally stern as she said, the devil race attacked my Misty School with the intention of establishing their power. They want to eliminate my Misty School from Pingjiang. If we want to live, if we don't want to become the devil race's puppet, we have to fight with our lives on the line. Although the devil race's attack was sudden and caught us unprepared, how can the devil race underestimate our Misty School after so many years of fighting experience? How can we let the devil race succeed? Especially, the heaven-sent Taoist Xiao, who is feared by the devil race, to Pingjiang. With Taoist Xiao and this sect master here, even if the devil race's devil emperor personally comes, you all don't have to worry. Everyone, this sect master won't say any more superfluous words. If you want to live, you have to kill the devil race. The more you kill, the more likely you will be able to survive this war. Kill. The cultivators naturally understood the importance of this battle, and didn't need Lu Wuxia to say anything. However, when Lu Wuxia specifically mentioned Xiaohua's name, the cultivators' eyes lit up. Not to mention the Fortune Gate's lightning boat's power, who knew how many devils they had killed in the past 10 years, Xiaohua being able to fight against the Devil Emperor for more than 10 years and still survive was enough to make them feel at ease and excited. Following that, the cultivators left one after another. Obviously, Lu Wuxia had already made arrangements, and she didn't need to personally instruct them on how to attack. Taoist Xiao. Lu Wuxia's eyes narrowed slightly as she looked at the devil clouds covering 10,000 li of Pingjiang. Moreover, the devil qi within the devil clouds flickered with blood-red light. She said, "In today's battle, we will need Taoist Zhao's lightning power to resist the devil race. If we can block the devil race outside Pingjiang, my Misty School will definitely reward you handsomely." "There's no need to say such polite words." Xiaohua waved his hand and said, "Since this Xiao has mistakenly entered the ruins, and now that this Xiao has arrived at the Misty School, this Xiao is going to kill the devil race. This is the mandate of heaven, and it's an action that benefits both sides. There's no need to ask for anything in return." "Alright, Taoist Xiao, please come with me." Lu Wuxia raised her hand, and a light projection appeared in the sky. "If there is a devil emperor leading the army, I hope Taoist Xiao can help." Xiaohua nodded and rushed out of the hall with the light projection. However, Xiaohua had only flown a few feet when he suddenly thought of something. He turned his head and asked curiously, "Sect Master Lu, this Xiao has something that I don't understand, please enlighten me." "Taoist Xiao, please speak." Lu Wuxia was a little absent-minded as she released her divine sense to check the surroundings. Xiaohua also released his divine sense and asked, "Previously, this Xiao found something strange in the Eternal Peace Mountain. The Eternal Peace Mountain sect master might not be in the Tao Transformation realm, but what about his seniors? Don't tell me none of them are in the Tao Transformation realm? If they had a little bit of foundation, they wouldn't have been killed by a devil emperor, right? Of course, the Eternal Peace Mountain sect is a small sect in the southwest and may not have any outstanding talents. However, the Misty School is a large sect in the ruins. Could it be that Sect Master Lu is the only one who can deal with a devil emperor? What about the other seniors of your sect?" As he spoke, Lu Wuxia's beautiful eyes fell from the demonic clouds in the sky. She looked deeply at Xiaohua and replied, "Could it be that the seniors of the 3 continents, after reaching the 9th stage of the Tao Transformation realm, they all stayed in the sect?" This. Xiaohua frowned. He really didn't know how to answer this question. After all, he was only a low-level cultivator on the Dawn Rain continent and didn't know much about the foundation of the Imperial Thunder sect. However, from the powerful divine sense that flashed from the Imperial Thunder sect, Xiaohua knew that the Imperial Thunder sect definitely had elders at the nascent Soul realm and above who stayed in the Sky Thunder Peak. Of course, if the elders reached the Tao Transformation realm and were about to undergo tribulation, they would naturally go to the immortal world and not stay in the sect. As for the hidden immortal continent, there was no such thing as a sect for Tao sect cultivators. High-level cultivators should go to the Penglai immortal realm. The situation of these 2 places was completely different from the ruins. There was no comparison. After thinking for a while, Xiaohua replied, "If the seniors of the 3 continents reach the 9th stage of the Tao Transformation realm, they naturally can't stay in the sect. They have to go to places like the Moon God Palace to continue cultivating. As for those seniors who can't break through to the 9th stage of the Tao Transformation realm, they can stay in the sect." "I see." Lu Wuxia nodded and said, "I understand. The 3 continents have abundant qi of heaven and earth, so the management of the realms is lax. That's why these seniors stay in the sect. However, the ruins is an extremely remote place in the cultivation world under the jurisdiction of the Moon God Palace. Any seniors who break through to the 9th stage of the Tao Transformation realm have to go to the Moon God Palace to be selected. It's best if they can enter the Moon God Palace, but if they can't return and have to go to other realms to find opportunities. As for those seniors who can't break through, the Moon God Palace has strict rules. They can't stay in their original sect for too long. Actually, there's no need for these rules. The resources in the ruins are limited. High-level seniors consume 10 times or even 100 times more resources than ordinary disciples. For the sake of the younger disciples, these seniors usually leave the ruins. I understand. Xiaohua sighed. This sacrifice is respectable. However, in times of crisis, when the devil race invades, they can't help the sect escape. There's no need to borrow the power of the seniors in the sect. Lu Wuxia answered indifferently. If the ruins can't even get rid of the encirclement of such a small devil race, Then, even if the ruins are destroyed, so what? Chapter 4137. Listening to Lu Wuxia's indifference and resolute determination, Xiaohua sighed. The position of sect master wasn't a position that any random cultivator could assume. Thinking of Xiong Yi, Sun Jian, and Lu Wuxia, Xiaohua knew that he wasn't the kind of person who could judge the situation and treat the Fortune Gate's disciples as mere pawns. After Lu Wuxia finished speaking, she didn't say anything else and looked up at the sky. In the time it took for her to say a few words, the devilish clouds covering the sky changed even more. Previously, the devilish clouds were mixed with traces of blood, but now, not only did the devilish clouds completely cover the sky, the entire Ping River was even darker than the night sky. Even the traces of blood had turned into a blood river, flowing freely within the devilish clouds. The strange thing was that the blood river emitted a dazzling blood-red light, reflecting the darkness and making it seem even more bloody. One could actually see vengeful spirits and devils within the blood-red light. The devils were densely packed, more numerous than the mud and sand in the Ping River. Moreover, these devils were emitting strange roars. The roars were different from the roars of wandering souls, but they were equally frightening. Xiaohua lowered his head to look at the Misty School. At this time, the Misty School's sect protecting Grand Formation had been activated. Layers of dazzling treasure-like lights bloomed in the dozen or so cities. These treasure-like lights soared into the sky, looking like holy flowers. However, at the core of these flowers, there was the shape of a raccoon. Of course, these raccoons weren't complete, but the petals of these flowers were unusually swaying. Within the treasure-like lights of the sect protecting Grand Formation, there were huge flower-like streams flowing out. Xiaohua understood that this was the purest earth-attributed origin energy. The treasure-like lights of the dozen or so cities had already intertwined with each other, and the crystal-like objects were also circulating between the sect protecting Grand Formation. Every time they made a full circle, they would soar 1 zhang into the sky. At the same time, the ground would rumble, and a powerful, heavy, and invincible attack would soar into the sky. Not only that, the Ping River between the dozen or so cities was also different from before. Sparkling and translucent pythons were born from the Ping River. Following the flickering of the treasure-like lights above the cities, they also flowed rhythmically within the Clan Earth Soul Consolidating Formation. Every time they made a full circle, the extremely soft water-attributed origin energy of the world would become denser, and the light blue brilliance would also become brighter. In less than the time it took to drink a cup of tea, the entire Ping River seemed to have fused into one, perfectly protecting the entire Misty School. A kind of reassuring aura gradually diffused under the treasure-like light. Weng. When the treasure-like light of the Clan Earth Soul Consolidating Formation soared 100 zhang into the sky, it slowly stopped. The entire treasure-like light slowly rotated again, and the entire ground shook greatly. Then, under Xiaohua's stupefied gaze, the dozen or so cities slowly rose from the ground and soared into the sky. Not only did the cities fly out, but they also gradually changed in the treasure-like light, and finally turned into a fortress. And inside this fortress, all of the Misty School's disciples held their treasures and stood in various places. Their faces were solemn, and their hearts were filled with determination to face the demon race. Under the city, the dozen or so huge pits once again let out a different kind of rumbling sound. Dozens of water-attributed origin energy of the world condensed into liquid form rushed out, roaring as they transformed into leopards. Dozens of winnowing basket heart-cleansing formations quickly took shape. Moreover, these dozens of winnowing basket heart-cleansing formations slowly expanded in all directions, fusing together with the python from before. The entire ground emitted a dazzling water-blue brilliance, and this brilliance shot straight towards the blood-colored formation in the sky. Damn, this is really a big deal. Xiaohua's mouth was a bit dry. Although he was proficient in the Clan Earth Soul Consolidating Formation and the Winnowing Basket Heart Cleansing Formation, he had never seen an entire sect that spanned several thousand li into 2 formations. At this time, he also understood why the Misty School was not built on top of a mountain. How is it? Beside him, Lu Wuxia looked at Xiao Hua's expression and did not forget to ask arrogantly, "Can my Misty School's sect protecting formation withstand the demon race's invasion?" Haha, if this clan Earth Soul consolidating formation and the winnowing basket heart cleansing formation cannot withstand the demon race's invasion, then I don't think there is any other sect in the ruins that can withstand the demon race's invasion. At this time, how could Xiao Hua extinguish Lu Wuxia's fighting spirit? Taoist Xiao also knows about the clan Earth Soul consolidating formation and the winnowing basket heart cleansing formation? A trace of surprise flashed through Lu Wuxia's eyes, but after this surprise, there was a kind of ecstasy. Xiao Hua smiled and nodded, "Of course." Then, Lu Wuxia's breathing became a bit hurried again. She lowered her voice and asked, "How does it compare to Taoist Zhao's capital star formation?" Lu Wuxia's words did not sound very methodical, as if she did not have a head or a brain, but Xiao Hua understood the meaning behind her words. He smiled and said, "If Master Lu is willing, this Xiao can teach these two formations, just like the capital star formation to the Misty School." Great. Lu Wuxia understood that Xiao Hua was talking about the Misty School and not Lu Wuxia. She knew that this was a kind of trade, and the Misty School had to pay a price to obtain it. However, she was still wild with joy. "Once these demons are defeated, my Misty School will pay a price that will satisfy Taoist Xiao." Boom! What was even more shocking than Lu Wuxia's determination was the simultaneous explosion in the sky. Even people as strong as Xiao Hua and Lu Wuxia couldn't help but feel their hearts skip a beat, and the blood in their bodies tightened. At this time, the sky was already filled with a sea of blood, and the demonic clouds from before had turned into spots, scattered around the edge of the sea of blood. The huge explosion was coming from these demonic clouds. As Xiao Hua's spiritual will swept across, 108 huge devil drums appeared in the devil clouds. Behind the devil drums were 108 huge devil clansmen. These devil clansmen were different from the ones Xiao Hua had seen before. They were all skeletons. Moreover, these bone demons had different appearances, none of them were humanoid. The edges of the huge demonic drums were covered with dark demonic runes that could swallow light, and there were also strange demonic beast totems on the drums. When the huge bones of the bone demons hit the demonic drums, the demonic beast totems emitted strange fluctuations, and once the fluctuations fell into the sky, they immediately exploded in the sky, turning the nearby heaven and earth yuan qi into powder. The fluctuations rushed into the Earth's Soul condensing formation and the winnowing basket heart cleansing formation. The brilliance of the two formations flickered in the midst of the beating of the drums, like a candle in the wind. Xiao Hua's heart and blood were also beating wildly. He hurriedly circulated his magic power to resist, and Lu Wuxia's face was also somewhat unsightly. This was because within the formations, there were already some low-level disciples whose bodies had exploded due to the beating of the drums. The two incomplete formations were not able to completely block the attack of the demonic drums. However, in just a moment, a sound like seeds sprouting, like green leaves sprouting, came from the 10 fortresses. Although this sound was not loud, it was very tenacious, and the light that was trembling in the midst of the beating of the drums also became brighter. Immediately after, the sound of water splashing could be heard again, like a mountain flowing in the rhythm of the drums. In an instant, the blood in Xiao Hua's body also began to rejoice. The 108 demonic drums were naturally unwilling to be outdone, and they began to beat again. Layers upon layers of mountain-like ripples descended from the sky and smashed into the spell formation. Not only did these ripples destroy the spiritual chi of heaven and earth within a radius of 5,000 kilometers, even cracks appeared in the void. Hong hong. When this fluctuation landed on Xiao Hua and Lu Wuxia's bodies, it naturally turned into dust. However, when it landed on the formations, it was different. Although the 10 fortresses remained motionless in the air, their light rapidly shrank, and they were on the verge of being extinguished. Xiao Hua and Lu Wuxia did not make a move. They only watched indifferently. Sure enough, after half the time it takes to brew a cup of tea, the storm of fluctuations gradually weakened, and the power of the plants and water began to grow tenaciously again. The entire earth was once again filled with vitality. Qi. At this time, a strange laughter came from high up in the sky, and 1,000 zhang tall demonic body appeared in an extremely strange manner. This demonic body looked like a shadow, and it was faintly floating in the sea of blood. However, the demonic horns on its forehead and the black wings on its back emitted a similar light, and it actually had a hint of holiness. The human race is indeed interesting. To actually be able to draw out such a strange power. The demonic emperor's voice was extremely enticing, and within 10,000 miles of space, tiny demonic runes appeared. If one's divine sense or eyes fell on these runes, they would actually be able to see the image of a man and a woman. It's a pity that this power is too weak in the eyes of my devil race. Human race, contribute your blood and life. As the demonic emperor spoke, the demonic runes in the space began to expand rapidly, and one after another, white flesh appeared from the demonic runes. Scenes of shame also appeared in the demonic runes. In the fortress, there were actually some disciples of the Misty School who couldn't resist the temptation and raised their hands to slap their own foreheads. In an instant, blood splattered everywhere, and they turned into corpses. Damn it. Wuxia gritted her teeth and raised her hands. Just as she was about to make a move, there was a rumbling sound, and within several thousand miles of space, lightning flashed. The tens of thousands of demonic runes turned into dust, and only wisps of demonic qi remained. Gij, this must be Taoist Master Shao of the Fortune Gate. The wings on the back of the Devil Emperor's robe spread open, and he approached as if he was flying. His charming laughter actually caused Xiao Hua's heart to heat up. Your Tao Gate's lightning technique is indeed powerful. In a moment, this emperor wants to experience it. But right now, this emperor is not in the mood to fight with you. Shua! As the Devil Emperor's wings fluttered, countless demonic flames flew out from his wings and fell on the blood formation like raindrops. Pa 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 pa! The sound of rain hitting banana leaves rang out in the sky. Although this sound was soft, it could be heard clearly amidst the beating of the demonic drums. Then, where the demonic flames fell, countless rivers of blood poured down in torrents, falling towards the 10 fortresses of the Misty School. Chapter 4138. ZZ. Within 10,000 miles of space, an unpleasant stench filled the air, and the Earth's soul condensing array's brilliance was quickly extinguished. Oh! In just a moment, a series of roars came from the winnowing basket heart cleansing array. The water current was even crazier than a python or dragon as it rushed into the blood sea. Zzz. Just as the winnowing basket heart cleansing array blocked the blood sea, the sound of rats chewing on wood came from the blood sea. Every drop of blood in the blood sea flashed with dark demonic qi, and as if a door had been opened, demons that looked very similar to the demon emperor flew out from the blood sea. Xiao Hua saw these demons clearly. They were the same kind of demons that he had killed at the teleportation hub when he had just arrived at the ruins. I see. Xiao Hua narrowed his eyes as he looked at the demon emperor that was approaching the blood sea. He thought to himself, no wonder the demon emperor knows this Xiao's name. It must be because those demons were killed, and he didn't receive any message from them. Since that's the case, today will be a bloody battle. Thinking of this, Xiao Hua transmitted his voice to Wuxia. Sect Master Lu, what are we waiting for? The demon emperor is right in front of us. Why don't we work together to kill it? Wuxia was a little hesitant, but he also transmitted his voice. With our strength, we should be able to kill this demon emperor. However, this demon emperor is a demon that is good at escaping through space. It's impossible for us to block it and kill it. I just thought about it. We can only kill it if we lure it into the winnowing basket heart cleansing array. Alright. Xiao Hua nodded. We'll do as you say. You and I will attack and force it into the winnowing basket heart cleansing array. As he spoke, Xiao Hua waved his hand, and a thunderbolt as sharp as a blade instantly cut the blood river in half. Moreover, the demons in the blood river were all turned into powder. Seeing this, Wuxia also waved her sleeves, and countless green dots of light flew out, covering the space within a dozen li. The dots of light then turned into mung bean-sized seeds that fell into the blood river. When they exploded, they also exterminated the demon race. Woo-woo. The two of them moved at the same time, causing the entire space to tremble slightly. Two sharp auras broke through the blood river and pounced towards the demon emperor in the sky. At this moment, the demons flying out of the blood river brandished their demonic aura and spat out demonic flames. Like locusts blotting out the sky and covering the earth, they pounced on the dozen or so huge fortresses of the Misty School. Similarly, the Misty School disciples who had been charging up in the fortresses also charged forward under the cover of the brilliance of the Earth's soul-condensing formation. Rumble! A rumbling sound that shook tens of thousands of miles resounded. Many severed limbs flew out along with the miserable screams. However, these horrifying screams appeared especially vivid amidst the sound of the demonic drum. It was as if this blood and life were born for this demonic drum that shook one's spirit. Outside the fortresses, the Misty School disciples were risking their lives to fight. Inside the fortresses, the Misty School disciples were also desperately circulating their zhenyuan. Sounds of shwa 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 could be heard from the fortresses. One after another, raccoon-shaped lights flew out of the fortresses, roaring as they pounced towards the demons. The earth and yellow raccoon-shaped lights were actually very powerful. Every time a demon was enveloped by these lights, their pitch-black bodies would melt like snow, quickly turning into a pool of demonic blood. After a short while, all kinds of demon generals, demon marshals, and demon kings flew out of the blood river. The fighting strength of these demons was clearly a lot stronger than before, and the demonic aura in the entire space surged crazily. Kill! Roars of anger could be heard coming from the fortresses. The high-level disciples of the Misty School rushed out on their magic tools. Rays of light soared into the sky, and magic treasures collided with demonic tools, causing even the earth to shake. The Misty School disciples were desperately fighting. Xiao Hua and Lu Wuxia were already closing in on the demon emperor. Although Xiao Hua's divine sense was corroded by the blood array, his divine sense was very vigorous. With a sweep of his divine sense, he was able to force the blood array away. Although the demon emperor's figure was drifting, Xiao Hua's divine sense was still able to sense it. Seeing that they were closing in on the demon emperor, Xiao Hua rubbed his hands, and several crystal lights fell into the void. Hong long long. Thunder rumbled, and the space within 1,000 miles boiled. Following the thunder, the demon emperor's figure could no longer hide in the void, and a huge demonic body flashed with a strange brilliance. Around this demonic body, there was a layer of spatial distortion, and within this distortion, there was an extremely dark demonic aura flowing out of it. Kill! Xiao Hua sneered coldly. He grabbed at the air, and a 100-meter-long streak of sword light appeared in front of the demon emperor's chest 100 kilometers away. The sword light streaked across the sky and slashed towards the demon emperor with incomparable sharpness. However, just as the sword light entered the demon emperor's chest, the demonic aura around the demon emperor's body slightly stirred. Unknowingly, the space distorted, and even the sword light was torn apart. Damn it! Xiao Hua roared, and with a push of his palms, the sword light pierced through again. Gee! The demon emperor sneered, and the demonic aura around his body surged. At the same time, the spatial distortion became even more severe. Every time Xiao Hua's sword light advanced an inch, the sword light would be torn apart an inch. By the time the entire sword light disappeared, the demon emperor was still not injured in the slightest. The renowned Taoist master Xiao only has this much divine ability? The demon emperor sneered, and with a wave of his hand, a seemingly solid ripple flashed from his withered arm. The ripple streaked across the sky, and a spatial crack slashed toward Xiao Hua like a sword. Not good. Xiao Hua smiled bitterly in his heart. This demon emperor is much more powerful than the demon monarch from before. Moreover, spatial manipulation is the innate divine ability of the demon race. This Xiao has only comprehended a few domains. How can I be this guy's opponent? However, seeing the spatial cracks slashing towards him, Xiao Hua was not afraid. He raised his hand, and a huge illusory palm flew out and grabbed the spatial crack like the hand of a yuanying. Hong! With a loud sound, the spatial crack was crushed by the huge hand, and the hand also turned into nothingness. CSI. At this time, Lu Wuxia also flew to the other side of the Demon Emperor. With a wave of her hand, she took out an emerald green branch. As the branch danced, specks of light flew out, and these specks of light fell into the air, turning into flowers. These flowers were extremely beautiful, and there were even dewdrops on them. However, the flowers emitted a powerful aura that swept away all the demon chi within a 10 li radius. Kill! Lu Wuxia also shouted, and the flowers spun as they flew towards the Demon Emperor's abdomen. The Demon Emperor was currently using his demon chi to fight against Xiao Hua's technique, and now that he was being forced by Lu Wuxia, he seemed to be overwhelmed. In a hurry, the Demon Emperor opened his mouth, and with it, pew! A mouthful of dirty blood spurted out. This dirty blood turned into a blood demon that pounced towards the flowers. At this time, the blood demon within 100 li of the blood demon suddenly erupted, and like a flood, it poured into the blood demon's body. The blood demon's body suddenly expanded, and in a few breaths of time, it was already several hundred zhang tall. At this time, the flowers had already reached the blood demon's body. Pu piu piu. With a continuous sound, the flowers landed on the blood demon's body. The moment the flowers landed, they immediately turned into a layer of dark green net that quickly covered the blood demon. The blood demon's huge body shrank rapidly, and in a few breaths of time, it disappeared. Of course, the dark green brilliance also disappeared in the blood-red light. Seeing that Lu Wuxia's treasure did not work, Xiaohua coldly snorted. His hands formed a seal, and an obscure sound came from his mouth, like a dragon's roar. The space that was sealed by the Demon Emperor was being torn apart by Xiaohua's magic power, and pure heaven-earth yuan qi turned into crystal threads that fell into Xiaohua's seal. Ah! Not only was the Demon Emperor shocked, but Lu Wuxia was also stunned, and looked at Xiaohua in disbelief. Break! Along with the activation of Xiaohua's heavenly dragon speech technique, a strange fluctuation was generated from the left side of the Devil Emperor's devil body. Then, boom boom. The sound of explosion was generated in the distorted space. In this explosion, the Devil Emperor's devil body was blown to pieces. Damn it. The Demon Emperor obviously did not expect Xiaohua's technique to be able to destroy his body. He muttered and opened his mouth, and a fishy smell of demon qi came out. The Demon Emperor's body that was destroyed by Xiaohua suddenly moved, and like a crazy demon, they rushed towards Xiaohua. In fact, a small portion of the devils had even disappeared into the void. Xiaohua waved his hand, and the Kunlun mirror appeared in his hand. Under the activation of his magic power, Hong, a four-colored beam of light shot out. Ao ao ao. A series of miserable screams sounded, and all the demons were killed by the Kunlun mirror. Even the demons in the void turned into green smoke. After the little devil was destroyed, Xiaohua simply raised the Kunlun mirror. The four-colored light pillar once again soared into the sky and shone towards the Demon Emperor's heart. At the same time, Lu Wuxia hurriedly waved her hand again, and the emerald green branch left her hand, and turned into a big tree in midair, and pounced towards the Demon Emperor. The tree was several times more powerful than the flower just now. Not only did it destroy the blood river, it also cleared away the demon qi in the void. Woo! Facing the combined attack of two human experts, the Demon Emperor did not panic. He raised his hand, and a white bone the size of a mountain appeared out of nowhere. This white bone was covered with demonic runes, and the Demon Emperor waved the white bone, and endless demon qi came out of the white bone. Even the blood river in the blood array followed the white bone and rushed towards the emerald green tree. As for Xiaohua's Kunlun mirror, the Demon Emperor raised his left foot and kicked down. The beam of light landed on the Demon Emperor's left foot, and his entire left foot suddenly turned into a demon head. With a roar, the demon head swallowed the beam of light. At the same time, the demon head turned into a demonic cloud that was dozens of feet in size, and rapidly rotated. The Kunlun mirror's beam of light actually became dimmer and dimmer in this demonic cloud. Go! Seeing that the Kunlun mirror did not work, Xiaohua's expression changed slightly. He raised his hand, and a dazzling golden light streaked across the sky, and like lightning, it struck the Demon Emperor's left leg. Facing the Tengjiao shears, even someone as strong as the Demon Emperor could not react in time. With a schwa sound, the Tengjiao shears struck the Demon Emperor's left leg. Under the golden light, the demonic runes on the Demon Emperor's body were split into two, and the broken demonic runes quickly disappeared. The Tengjiao shears, which had transformed into a dragon, slightly flicked its dragon tail, and even the indestructible Demon Emperor's left leg was cut off by the Tengjiao shears. Chapter 4139. Oh! The Demon Emperor's body swayed in pain, but it was only for a moment. Several pillars of demonic qi emerged from his broken leg, and a second later, a left calf appeared in front of Xiaohua. Go! Xiaohua took advantage of the situation and activated the soaring dragon shears again without hesitation. He was about to slash at the Demon Emperor's left calf, but at this moment, a sharp screech sounded in the air. Xiaohua was alerted and immediately teleported to the left. However, just as Xiaohua's figure was about to disappear, the vigilance in his heart grew even stronger. Xiaohua didn't dare to be careless. He urged the lightning around his body, and the thunderclap ninth heaven instantly flew out. Just as Xiaohua's figure flew out, a white bone that was even bigger than a mountain suddenly appeared in the void. Although this white bone only tore apart Xiaohua's image, that heart-wrenching pain was already born, as if it had really pierced his waist. The Demon Emperor's voice suddenly turned into wild laughter. Taoist Xiao is only so. Xiaohua dodged the Demon Emperor's attack and his eyes flashed with anger. He didn't dare to restrain the lightning around him and shouted, "When did the demon race become so cunning? Could it be that after being killed by us humans a few times, you've become smarter? In that case, Demon Emperor, this Xiao will let you become smarter." After speaking, the lightning around Xiaohua's body turned bronze again. Gurgle gurgle. In the space sealed by the blood formation, the sound of flowing water could be heard. Then, strands of the power of the stars and moon stubbornly rushed out of the demonic formation and crashed into Xiaohua's body. Boom! Xiaohua's body uncontrollably expanded. This is the power of the stars? In the distance, Wuxia, who was controlling the power of the giant tree, saw the power of the stars and moon tearing the blood formation apart. The demonic qi was smashed into pieces by the power of the stars and moon. She couldn't help but open her mouth in shock and exclaim, "The power of the stars and moon? Xiaohua, where did he come from? How can a Taoist cultivator control such a high level of star power?" While speaking, Wuxia's gaze fell on the Kunlun mirror that was emitting the 4 pillars of light in the air. An indescribable expression appeared in her eyes. Could this really be the Kunlun mirror? But as soon as this thought appeared in her mind, Wuxia suddenly relaxed and laughed. How is that possible? How could the saint body of a heaven's equal realm saint fall into the cultivation world? Wouldn't a single finger of a saint be enough to make the cultivation world explode? While Wuxia was guessing, Xiaohua's avatar had already formed. He waved his hands and grabbed towards the Demon Emperor. Boom boom. Another series of thunderous roars sounded in the air. Within 1,000 miles, cracks in space appeared and rushed towards the Demon Emperor like a torrent. Ignorant child. The Demon Emperor was originally on guard, but when he saw Xiaohua's spatial divine power, he sneered. The wings on his body suddenly flapped and the bone spikes on the wings pierced into the void. Boom boom boom. At the same time, more than 10 dragon-like vibrations appeared in the void. The space within 1,000 miles was crazily torn apart. Huge cracks pierced deeply into the spatial torrent created by Xiaohua. Good. Seeing the Demon Emperor activating his wings, Wuxia was overjoyed. She slapped the top of her head and a ball of 5-colored light shot out. A figure that looked exactly like Wuxia appeared in the light and disappeared into the void in a flash. At the same time, the giant tree that was blocked by the Demon Emperor's white bone suddenly emitted the same 5-colored light. Then, a huge wooden sword was pulled out from the tree. The moment the wooden sword appeared, the blood river and demonic qi lost their color. Shwa! Endless wood element energy of heaven and earth appeared from nowhere. The wooden sword's light was dull, and it pierced towards the Demon Emperor's chest. Not good. The demon emperor was shocked. As if he was extremely afraid of the wooden sword's power, another demonic arm grew out from under his armpit. It held another white bone in its hand and hurriedly used it to block in front of him. The wooden sword seemingly calmly touched the white bone. Suddenly, the white bone emitted a jade-green light. Within the light, layers of flesh and blood bloomed like lotuses. Then, a sage-like cultivator stood up from the flesh and blood. Behind the cultivator, hundreds of figures of men and women flashed. Then, pa-pa-pa. A series of crisp sounds rang out. It was like bamboo exploding in a fire. The light was extinguished and the white bone was broken inch by inch. Even the demonic arm of the demon emperor was broken. The demonic chi on the demonic arm also exploded and blood splattered everywhere. Damn it! The demon emperor cursed. His entire demonic arm suddenly broke off from his body. Pa-pa-pa. In an instant, the demonic arm exploded into hundreds of pieces. However, what caught Lu Wuxia off guard was that the moment the demonic arm appeared, the nearby demonic chi and blood river rushed in again. Ayo ayo! In an instant, the hundreds of demonic arms turned into hundreds of demon kings with demonic chi, pouncing towards Lu Wuxia. Compared to Lu Wuxia's soundless drizzle, Xiaohua's attack was earth-shattering. The demon emperor's bone spear flew up and collided with Xiaohua's domain. The space within 1,000 li seemed to have been hit by a giant hand, shaking violently. With a thunderous roar that was not inferior to thunder, the blood river was torn apart, the demonic chi was torn apart, and countless demon kings were also turned into dust. Compared to the previous probing, the real battle between the man and the demon emperor caused both of them to be on guard. Looking at the sharpness of the space within 1,000 li, Xiaohua's eyes flashed with a fierce light. He raised his hand and slapped the top of his head. Woo! Several mu of zhenqi gushed out again, crashing into the void. At this time, the void was even more complicated than a maze, but under the guidance of Xiaohua's divine sense, the giant hand easily found the demon emperor's position. Die! Xiaohua roared. His zhenqi rushed out of the void, turning into a fist and smashing towards the demon emperor's heart. Xiaohua's divine ability, which was similar to the hand of a nascent soul, was a fusion of Taoist magic and the innate energy of a Confucian cultivator. As soon as his fist landed, the devilish flame around the devil emperor's body was extinguished, and the devilish energy was blown away. In the blink of an eye, the fist hit the thousands of dark devilish runes in the devil emperor's heart. At this time, the devil emperor had just broken his devil arm and had yet to recover from his shock. What he didn't expect was that Xiaohua's hand would be able to cross the shattered void and attack him. Boom! The fist landed, and the space around the devil emperor's body was sealed. Thousands of devil runes scattered in the air, and the fist smashed into the devil emperor's chest while the devil emperor was dumbfounded. Even a wave of awe-inspiring chi condensed into a crystal thread and crazily crashed into the demon emperor's body. Ha! Demon emperor! Demon emperor! Xiaohua sneered, raising his head and roaring, "You're only sil." Then, Xiaohua's body suddenly leaned forward and turned into a bolt of lightning, rushing into the broken void. The void was also strangely divided into two halves by the lightning. Waves of heaven and earth yuan qi and awe-inspiring qi madly converged into the torrent of lightning. After a few breaths, the lightning appeared above the demon emperor's head. At this time, the demon emperor was urging the blood light and demonic flames around him to rush out, trying his best to resist the awe-inspiring crystal thread. Seeing the lightning about to hit him, he was shocked. Go to hell! Xiaohua's angry roar came out from the lightning. It was like a thunderbolt from the ninth heaven. The lightning turned into a spear and directly stabbed into the demon emperor's head. The demon emperor's shoulders grew several demonic arms to block the attack. Those demonic weapons wanted to knock the lightning away, but the demonic weapons and arms were more or less turned into rotten wood under the lightning. Boom! The lightning spear pierced through the demon emperor's body. An earth-shattering explosion sounded, flipping over thousands of miles of space. Lu Wuxia, who had just activated her magic treasure to kill hundreds of demon kings, had an indescribable look of surprise in her eyes. She quickly rushed to the edge of the blood array. The demon emperor had fallen, and the entire blood array was collapsing. Countless demons wailed, and their bodies exploded like flies. Xiaohua's figure appeared in the sky above where the devil emperor had exploded like a thunder god. He methodically withdrew his divine sense and coldly snorted with disdain. The devil emperor is only Isu. Ouch, not good. It was also at this time that Xiaohua suddenly felt that something was wrong. It wasn't like he hadn't fought the demon emperor before. The demon emperor's strength was unparalleled, and although his divine ability could match the demon emperor's, without the help of the scholarly cultivator Xiaohua, the soul cultivator Xiaohua, and Buddha Bodhi, there was no way he could kill the demon emperor. It had only been a dozen or so years, and although he had tempered his Tao heart in the heavenly demon illusion, his strength had improved after the reconstruction of his profound energy, but it should have been impossible for him to improve to this extent. The difference in strength between the two demon emperors couldn't be that big. When he thought up to this point, Xiaohua suddenly thought of the zombie devil race that Yunche had mentioned. It was a race that could easily wipe out an entire sect with a single devil sovereign. Lightning appeared on his body again, and he hastily opened his delusion breaker eye. Unfortunately, Xiaohua woke up too late. His body had just moved when an indescribable pain immediately appeared on his back. He couldn't help but howl as the feeling of his soul being burned directly. However, between life and death, how could Xiaohua dare to be negligent? The true energy in his body surged, and his entire body shot forward. He didn't care whether he could teleport or not in the space lock. The tricolored spiritual fire gushed out like a flood and swept out behind him. Oh! An incomparably ethereal voice came from behind Xiaohua. This voice sounded like thunder in Xiaohua's ears. Even when Xiaohua was teleporting, countless streams of light flashed in front of his eyes. The scene of him killing the demon emperor turned into images and shattered in these streams of light. Illusion! Illusion! Motherfucker, this Xiao has fallen into the devil race's trap again. Xiaohua couldn't help but howl madly in his heart. When did the devil race become more cunning than the dragon race? How could Xiaohua not understand at this point? It wasn't just a single devil emperor that had surrounded the Misty School. The devil race was planning to eliminate the entire Misty School in one fell swoop, and this time, two devil emperors had come. The devil emperor he was facing had attracted his and Lu Wuxia's attention, and the other zombie devil emperor was hiding in the void, preparing to assassinate them. Chapter 4140. Of course, the two demon emperors were planning to kill Lu Wuxia in a short period of time and exterminate the Misty School. They were planning to retreat before the conference hall could send their troops over. Xiaohua even felt that if he hadn't visited the Misty School, the two demon emperors would have pursued Lu Wuxia to the Shundao sect after she was killed by the two demon emperors, putting the false and the real in place. This kind of brilliant strategy, Xiaohua admitted that he absolutely could not do it. After consuming nearly half of his true essence to activate the spirit fire, Xiaohua was finally able to extricate himself from a hopeless situation. When he reappeared in midair, he saw Lu Wuxia brandishing her magic treasure to kill a group of devils. Moreover, with a wave of her hand, a disc-shaped magic treasure flew out from her Sumeru ring and transformed into a huge ring to protect herself. Xiaohua staggered in midair and tried his best to stabilize himself. His back, which was several hundred feet wide, was full of bloody marks. These marks were like demons, crazily devouring Xiaohua's flesh. Between the bloody marks, there were slightly glowing demon patterns that flashed from time to time. Xiaohua urged his Xiantian Zhenyuan to fight against the demon blood and demon patterns. At the same time, he was thinking about whether he should use his own demon qi. However, seeing that the strange demon patterns and his Xiantian Zhenyuan were equally matched, and he could only stop the demon patterns from invading his bloodline, he knew that the demon patterns were of a higher level than his demon qi. If he used his demon qi, he would probably end up in a situation where he had to save himself. Xiaohua slowly turned around, his eyes filled with anger. This was the second time he fell into the illusion of the demon race in the ruins. Speaking of which, it was really embarrassing. However, when he turned around and saw everything in front of him, Xiaohua's anger dissipated a little. Standing in midair was a human figure that was several hundred feet tall. This human figure was different from ordinary cultivators. It had 2 heads and 4 arms. Facing Xiaohua was a very simple face with 2 slanted eyebrows and a pair of starry eyes. The 4 arms were holding 4 strange magical weapons. The 2 strange people's bodies emitted a dark gold color, and strange runes were engraved in this dark gold color. From this rune, Xiaohua felt an indescribable primordial aura. When Xiaohua saw this strange person, he immediately thought of the 3-headed and 6-armed celestial in his space. At this moment, the strange man's body was being burned by the tricolored spirit fire. The strange man's nose spewed out a dual-colored glow, and when the glow entered the spirit fire, it caused the spirit fire to burn even more fiercely. Seeing that the runes on the strange man's body were about to melt in the spirit fire, the strange man punched himself in the chest. Demonic chi surged as demonic blood landed on the spirit fire. Sizzle! With a violent sound, the spirit fire suddenly dimmed, but immediately after, the strange man's body burned even faster, and the spirit fire lit up again. Woo! A gust of wind that was even louder than the demonic drum sounded from the top of the monster's head. Immediately, a blood shadow spurted out. The blood river and demonic chi happily rushed into the blood shadow. A blood cocoon that looked like a worm appeared in the air. This blood cocoon was constantly shaking, and from time to time, demonic heads would pop out from the blood cocoon. However, the blood cocoon did not have a fixed shape. Xiaohua's gaze landed on the blood cocoon. A demonic chi that was even more powerful than the previous demonic emperor was emitting from the blood. Needless to say, this blood cocoon was definitely another demonic emperor. Xiaohua clenched his teeth. He circulated his Zhen Qi to resist the demonic Qi on his back as he thought of a way to defeat the enemy. The 2-headed, 4-armed zombie that had just been tossed aside by the zombie sovereign had also gradually melted into a copper-colored liquid that was being absorbed by the spirit flames. Kakaka! At this moment, the demonic emperor that had one of its legs chopped off by Xiaohua, but had actually dodged Xiaohua's attacks during the battle, laughed coldly. Its bloodthirsty demonic chi swept past Xiaohua and landed on Wuxia. Then, it raised its demonic arms and flapped its wings. Several spatial rifts that looked like spatial storms appeared and thousands of black demonic balls shot towards Wuxia. When Wuxia saw that the demonic emperor was attacking her alone, a look of desperation appeared on her face. She opened her mouth and a green light the size of a fist flew out. It was a flat seed that landed in the air. Wuxia then slapped the top of her head and her Zhen Qi surged into the sky. When the Zhen Qi returned to the ground, her body expanded rapidly. At the same time, she rubbed her hands together and fist-sized crystals fell into the seed. Then she started chanting and a powerful qi rushed into the seed as well. A green light that was as bright as the sun shone from the seed. Wuxia chanted, "The beginning of life, the beginning of power, the heaven and earth are righteous, the gods and demons are without evil." Boom! Another surge of energy that was hidden in the river gushed out from the ground. It pierced through heaven and earth and landed on the seed that was now 100 mu in size. Wuxia slowly raised her hands as if she was really pushing the sun. Woo! The seed made a whimpering sound as it flew towards the Demon King's spatial storm. Every inch the seed flew forward, the green light would grow by 1 foot. When it collided with the Demon King's attack, the green light had already turned into a vine that was tens of thousands of feet long. It swept towards the spatial storm that could tear everything apart. After the seed, Wuxia raised her hand and the tree branch magic treasure transformed into a wooden sword that was thousands of feet long. Countless strange flowers and plants bloomed on the blade of the wooden sword. Another rumbling sound rang out and Wuxia's body began to glow. A yuan spirit projection emerged from her body and landed outside of her body. It waved the wooden sword and stabbed towards the demonic emperor's heart. Wuxia and the demonic emperor were locked in battle. Xiaohua also moved because he could see that many zombie cultivators had appeared near the space where the demonic emperor was. These zombie cultivators were either in human form or beast form. There were even many that were half human and half beast. These zombies had tough bodies and were much more powerful than the demonic emperor from before. The stalemate between the Misty School and the demonic emperor was broken in an instant. Xiaohua knew that he couldn't delay any longer. If he couldn't kill the demonic emperor, then the demonic emperor behind him would kill Lu Wuxia. Without Lu Wuxia, not only would the Misty School be destroyed by the demonic emperor, even he might not be able to escape from the encirclement of two demonic emperors. However, before Xiaohua could fly a few li, the demonic emperor's body suddenly shone with a bloody light. A body that was thousands of feet long appeared in the air. This body wasn't humanoid. It had 3 arms and 2 legs, and it didn't have a head. Each of the 3 arms held a demonic spear, a demonic hammer, and a demonic shield. On the surface of the body, just like the shell of the 4 arms, there were also faint golden runes. The aura of desolation came from these runes. Damn it, how many celestial bodies did this demonic emperor take care of? Xiaohua cursed inwardly. He raised his hand and activated the Kunlun mirror. However, just as the light from the Kunlun mirror flew out, the demonic emperor's blood-stained body flashed in the air and entered the headless body. The demonic emperor's aura suddenly surged and a pitch-black demonic chi appeared on the demonic shield, blocking the light from the Kunlun mirror. Boom! More than half of the demonic chi on the demonic shield was destroyed. However, after the demonic chi disappeared, strange patterns appeared. These patterns were either spinning or trembling. Although the light from the Kunlun mirror rushed into the weak spots of the patterns, in front of these patterns, the light from the Kunlun mirror was clearly weak and powerless. It actually couldn't break through the demonic shield. This is bad. Seeing how powerful the demonic shield was, Xiaohua couldn't help but feel that things were not good. After all, this headless demonic emperor was holding 3 demonic weapons. If he couldn't break through this demonic shield, then wouldn't the other 2 be as powerful as this demonic shield? Although his Kunlun mirror had been refined to the spiritual treasure realm, compared to these unknown weapons from the upper realm, there was still a gap. Seeing that the Kunlun mirror was useless, Xiaohua didn't hesitate to point his finger again. Shua! The Tengjiao shears flashed in the air and shot towards the demonic emperor. Goo goo! The demonic emperor didn't know where the sound came from. The demonic weapon in one of its hands was raised in the air. A similarly dazzling golden spear roared and soared into the sky. The previously torn space was once again pierced through by this demonic spear. Ka! The Tengjiao shears landed on the demonic weapon. The 2 golden lights were annihilated at the same time. Moreover, within the spear shadow, a thin pitch-black demonic chi was born. This demonic chi was like a hibernating viper. Before it could awaken, it was cut in half by the Tengjiao shears. Even though the demonic chi was removed from the golden spear, although it was still as strong as before, on the body of the spear, a thin crack extended from the tip to the end of the spear. It was neatly cut in half. A fox borrowing the tiger's might. Xiaohua looked at the demonic emperor like a tiger facing a hedgehog. He didn't know how to attack. Whether it was the demonic shield or the demonic spear, it was not the demonic emperor's own divine ability that blocked Xiaohua's divine ability. Hee. A loud voice sounded from the demonic emperor. Taoist Master Xiao, don't worry. I will let you see this emperor's ability, then let's do it now. Xiaohua roared and put away the Kunlun mirror and the Tengjiao shears. His whole body turned into a thunderbolt and rushed into the broken space, taking out the wishful staff. Boom! Where the wishful staff fell, the unstable void shook. The demonic emperor was not afraid. The demonic hammer and demonic spear danced and fought with Xiaohua's wishful staff. At this time, Xiaohua's wishful staff was very different from before. Although it had not really broken away from the 5 elements, every time it danced, it set off a kind of spatial power. Where the wind rose, the staff's shadow was heavy. Within hundreds of miles, it was filled with a murderous aura. The demonic spear, demonic hammer, and demonic shield in the hands of the demonic emperor were also very orderly. In the face of Xiaohua's storm-like attacks, the demonic spear responded, the demonic hammer struck, and even the demonic shield defended. The moves were also very clever and orderly. Chapter 41-41. Not good. This bastard's intention is to delay this Xiao. Xiaohua saw that the Demon Emperor was very cautious in his attacks, and that Lu Wuxia was at a disadvantage in the battle with the other Demon Emperor. He immediately understood the plan of the two Demon Emperors. He wants to wait for the other Demon Emperor to kill Lu Wuxia and then deal with this Xiao together. No, I must make the first move. Xiaohua made up his mind and his figure got closer. The attack of the wishful steel staff increased by a few points. Seeing that he was close to the Demon Emperor, Xiaohua's left hand loosened, and the staff was transferred to his right hand. However, the staff still struck down like a mountain. But just as Xiaohua was about to take out his trump card, the headless celestial zombie's chest suddenly overflowed with an obscure fluctuation. This fluctuation was very strange, and in an instant, it enveloped an area of 1,000 li, as if it completely ignored the distance between them. Xiaohua, who was closing in on the Demon Emperor, was naturally within this range. Pa. There were thousands of other zombies within this 1,000 li, but after the fluctuation passed, these zombies exploded, and clouds of blood mist flew out from these zombies, which did not have any blood essence, and turned into different phantoms that fell around the headless celestial zombie. Looking at Xiaohua again, there was a cluster of fine dust in front of him, as if space had been shattered. Then, Xiaohua only felt the blood vessels in his body suddenly tighten, as if a big hand had grabbed his blood vessels out of thin air. Then, his whole blood vessels began to burn, and not only did the blood flow speed up, but the blood vessels also began to go berserk, causing Xiaohua's body to swell and explode. A blood vessel phantom was born in Xiaohua's body, and it struggled with all its might, trying to break free from the shackles of his body and blood vessels. Damn it, this is blood power? Sensing the slightly familiar power, Xiaohua was slightly taken aback, and then he was greatly alarmed. At the same time, the demonic qi that Xiaohua had previously used his Xiantianjin qi to resist once again started to wreak havoc. It was as if thousands of bloodthirsty demons were madly gnawing at Xiaohua's body, trying their best to break through the blockade of Xiaohua's Xiantianjin qi and merge with Xiaohua's almost boiling blood phantom. Is this the legendary pincer attack? Xiaohua sneered and charged towards the headless celestial zombie. Green light flashed between his eyebrows and tens of thousands of soul strands fell into Xiaohua's body. Tiny green seal characters also flew into Xiaohua's blood vessels. Xiaohua's blood vessels gradually calmed down and the blood vessels phantom also quickly disappeared. Not only that, but the green seal text also emitted a ghostly chanting sound. The indescribable ripples traveled back to where the previous ripples had come from, quickly transcending space and landing on the Deva zombie. Green light flashed, and the strange magical symbols on the Deva zombie's body shattered. Then, thumb-sized bubbles burst out of its fleshly body. These bubbles were blocked by the runes on the surface of its body, but the bubbles rose and fell in many places, making the celestial zombie look like a toad. A vague shadow floated up from the bubbles. The shadow was as anxious as a suffocating creature that had just escaped from deep water. Human. How do you know how to swallow blood and control essence? The headless celestial zombie let out a thunderous sound, and there was a lot of surprise in its voice. Boom. At this time, the wishful steel staff collided with the demonic spear, and the force of the collision rose again. Xiaohua's Dharma body only shook slightly. With a wave of his left hand, the demonic slaughter blade was waiting for an opportunity to attack, and Xiaohua's golden body began to emit wisps of black gas. Woo! A fierce wind whistling sound suddenly appeared at this time. Xiaohua was stunned and sent out his divine sense. He saw that the Demon Emperor, who was originally rushing towards Lu Wuxia, had abandoned Xiaohua. The space around the huge demonic body was extremely distorted, and with a flash of light and darkness, the Demon Emperor had already appeared above Xiaohua's head. Hundreds of white bone claws stretched out from the demonic body and rushed towards Xiaohua's back. The spread of the demonic wings set off a monstrous amount of demonic qi that turned into countless arrows that also shot towards Xiaohua's back. Damn it! It turns out that this Demon Emperor is proficient in spatial magic. Xiaohua's divine sense swept out and was actually killed by these white bones and demonic qi arrows. Seeing that the Demon Emperor ignored thousands of miles of space and squeezed out of the void, How could he not know that this was a trick of two demon emperors? Now his strength was not even comparable to one demon emperor, and under the attack of two demon emperors, he was afraid that he would not be able to hold on for long. However, Xiaohua was shocked and sneered, secretly thinking, if you two demon emperors attacked Lu Wuxia at the same time, I'm afraid you would really succeed. But if you use these methods to bully this Xiao, you will go for wool and come home shorn. Just as he was thinking, the headless celestial zombie cooperated with the other demon emperor, and the celestial body suddenly elongated. At the same time, the demonic shield was raised to block the wishful steel staff, and the demonic spear and hammer pierced through the sky, falling in the direction that Xiaohua had to hide. Woo-woo. Xiaohua's eyes narrowed slightly, and immediately tens of thousands of small whirlwinds appeared around his body. Not only was the surrounding blood river attracted by these whirlwinds, but also a large amount of demonic qi was sucked in. Xiaohua's body was surrounded by a demonic helmet unique to ordinary demons. Seeing that Xiaohua had actually turned into a demon, the two demon emperors were slightly stunned. They naturally knew that Xiaohua had a demon spirit around him, but they did not expect that Xiaohua could use demonic arts. Moreover, in the face of the headless celestial zombie in front of him and the mountain-like white bones of the demon emperor behind him, Xiaohua was as steady as a rock. He waved his left hand steadily. Shua! First, it was like nibbling mulberry leaves, extremely subtle, and then it was like a small bridge, sweetly entering the ear. When the blade light like a horse appeared in front of the headless celestial zombie, the monstrous demonic flame had already rushed out from the demonic blade like a stormy sea towards the demon emperor. Boom! In the wild roar, all the blood-red and demonic qi were overshadowed by this demonic blade. Kill? Kill. This is the demonic blade kill. The headless celestial zombie faced the demonic blade directly. He was most aware of the aura of the demonic blade that could kill him. He could not help but shout wildly, "Where did you get this thing? You, which demon emperor are you?" Unfortunately, Xiaohua could answer his question. The demonic blade was like the wind, and the demonic flame was like a tidal wave. Boom! As the demonic spear and the demonic hammer were chopped into two halves, even half of the headless celestial zombie's body turned yellow and white inch by inch. In the end, it turned into white bones and fell out of thin air. What was special was that the phantom of the demon emperor was withdrawn from the white bones where the demonic blade passed. Ao. The demon emperor struggled to escape, and a blood shadow fell into the demonic blade. When the blood shadow was withdrawn, the demon emperor's blood shadow had already disappeared in the void. This demon emperor's escape technique was not inferior to Xiaohua's in the slightest. Ka. At the same time Xiaohua injured the demon emperor, the space behind Xiaohua was shattered by the other demon emperor's white bones. The demonic qi on Xiaohua's back suddenly surged, and half of his body was torn apart by the white bones. Xiaohua's demonic body trembled madly again, and his demonic qi surged madly. Xiaohua suddenly turned his head, his blood-red eyes filled with anger. He was clear in his heart that his profound qi had just been replenished, and it was really not good for him to use the demonic blade too much. However, this demon emperor was really hateful. He had schemed against him time and time again. If he did not teach him a lesson, Xiaohua would not be reconciled. Place me in the land of death and then live. Xiaohua clenched his teeth. Woo! The demonic wave rose again, surging violently towards the thousands of white bones. Ka-cha-cha-cha! Like the sound of mountains collapsing and the earth splitting, these white bones collapsed incomparably under the demonic blade. Damn it! Xiaohua actually has the demonic blade kill. Tiske, you actually did not explain it to this emperor. When this emperor returns, this emperor will definitely not let you off. The demon emperor originally wanted to sneak attack Xiaohua and seize the opportunity to obtain the demonic blade. However, when he saw how powerful the demonic blade was, which was even more powerful than he had imagined, the demon emperor howled in grief. He spread his wings, and his demonic body flew back into the void. Although the demonic qi of the demonic blade was crazily devouring the demonic arm and other things that the demon emperor had abandoned, It still rushed into the void to pursue the demon emperor. Lu Wuxia was somewhat dumbfounded as she watched everything that was happening in front of her. Her eyes were filled with profound meaning as she looked at Xiao Hua's uncontrollable demonic body in midair. She somewhat did not know what to do. However, just as she was in a daze, a demonic palm suddenly reached out from the void. The demon emperor's strange voice rang out, "Damn it, if I can't kill Xiao Hua, I have to kill Lu Wuxia no matter what. Otherwise, where will this emperor put his face?" The demon emperor's sneak attack was too sudden. Lu Wuxia did not expect the demon emperor to have the heart to attack her after being defeated by Xiao Hua. Her expression changed greatly, and she hurriedly activated her magic treasure to block. Boom! Space shattered as the demonic palm pressed against Lu Wuxia's towering chest. Lu Wuxia's delicate body trembled, and she hurriedly retreated like duckweed. At the same time, a green beam of light descended from her magic treasure, smashing the demonic palm into pieces. The beam of light even chased after the demonic palm and surged towards the demon emperor. Unfortunately, the demon emperor's laughter rang out. His voice had already reached the demonic array. When the space exploded, the demon emperor's demonic arm appeared in the void. It was just a lone demonic arm. The demon emperor had already fled. Damn it! How could Lu Wuxia not know that she had fallen into the demon emperor's trap again? However, her figure flickered twice, and after teleporting towards the demonic array, she reappeared in midair. Her originally delicate face had turned pale. Her strength was originally not comparable to the demon emperor. Even if the demon emperor was injured by Xiao Hua, she was still not his match. Even if she chased after him now, what could she do? Lu Wuxia cursed angrily. Her divine sense swept out, and she hurriedly searched for Xiao Hua. "Io! Dao Master Xiao!" Lu Wuxia's divine sense swept through the demonic array, but Xiao Hua's figure was nowhere to be found. She unconsciously turned pale with fright. Because just before she was injured by the demon emperor, she saw Xiao Hua's demonic saber swing. Although the demonic arm of the demon emperor was destroyed, Xiao Hua's body was filled with demonic qi, and he was sent flying by the backlash of the demonic arm. But now, Xiao Hua's figure had disappeared like a falling leaf. No matter how Lu Wuxia used her divine sense to search, there was no trace of him. Chapter 41-42. What's going on? Lu Wuxia circulated her cultivation to suppress her injuries as she flew towards the Misty School's defensive formation. How could Taoist Xiao have the devil saber? How could he cultivate a devil technique? Could it be he's a devil? I remember that a cultivator had sent a message saying that there were traces of devils in the fortune gate. Could it be that there's a great scheme behind this? How is this possible? Lu Wuxia was confused and frightened. She suddenly stopped because the two groups of devils that were attacking the Misty School's defensive formation had begun to retreat. The first to disappear was the zombie devil clan. They had already flown away when Lu Wuxia stopped in midair. At this time, the devils that were attacking the Earth Clan Soul Condensing Formation and Heart Cleansing Winnowing Basket Array had also slowed down their attacks. Many of them had disappeared into the void. Lu Wuxia heaved a long sigh of relief. She understood that her Misty School had avoided a calamity. The two devil emperors were injured by Xiao Hua's devil saber and did not dare to continue fighting. They had also given up on their plan to exterminate the Misty School. However, her relief only lasted for a moment before she was filled with doubts. If Xiao Hua is a human, how could he control the devil saber? Even if he could control the devil saber, how could he injure two devil emperors in one move? How could he be so strong? If the devil saber is powerful, then how could Xiao Hua control the devil saber that even devil emperors are afraid of? This Xiao Hua, where did he come from? Could it be that he's also a devil emperor? But he's not on the same side as these two devil emperors. At the same time, Lu Wuxia narrowed her eyes and took out a pill from her spatial ring. She watched as the demons retreated, and the river of blood began to flow in reverse within the black demonic array. When the river of blood finally disappeared, the demonic energy within the demonic array turned into demonic clouds that floated in the air. A bright moon appeared in the middle of the demonic clouds, and the moonlight sprinkled down like water. The moonlight fell on Lu Wuxia's body, and also on the Earth Clan Soul Consolidating Formation. The Earth Clan Soul Consolidating Formation of the Misty Sect did not fall down because of the retreat of the demons. Instead, some disciples flew out from the protection of the Earth Clan Soul Consolidating Formation and patrolled the area. Several young men and women flew out and arrived beside Lu Wuxia. They bowed and said, "Sect Master." Lu Wuxia retracted her gaze from the moonlight and looked at them. "You all saw it?" The few men and women looked at each other and exchanged glances. Naturally, they understood what Lu Wuxia was asking. They replied in unison, "Reporting to sect leader, we can all see it clearly." "What do you all think? This?" The group of cultivators hesitated, not daring to speak casually. "Tell me," Lu Wuxia ordered. Everyone looked at the man in front of them. The man hesitated for a moment and said, "I'm very conflicted. I can't tell the truth of the matter, and I don't know if there's a bigger conspiracy behind it. No matter what Taoist Zhao's background is, no matter if he's a devil or not, his arrival saved our Misty School. If it weren't for him today, the Misty School wouldn't have been so simple." "Not necessarily," a woman hurriedly said. "With Sect Master's divine ability and the sect protecting formation of our Misty School, not to mention 2 Devil Emperors, even 3 Devil Emperors wouldn't be able to do anything to our Misty School." "That's right," a woman also shouted. "Xiaohua should be a spy for the Devil Emperors. They have a bigger conspiracy and might use it as an opportunity to destroy our ruins. Junior Sister Yin, you're too big-breasted and brainless." A man with a yellow face and bloodstains all over his body said coldly. "If Taoist Xiao is a spy, when he entered our Misty School, he had plenty of chances to sneak attack Sect Master. Besides, if he's a Devil Emperor, why did he risk his life to protect our Misty School? My ethereal sect was already on the brink of destruction. If the 2 Devil Emperors just slightly urged the Devil race to attack, the Earth Soul Condensing Formation would definitely collapse." "Senior Brother Zhou, what do you mean?" Junior Sister Yin said angrily. "Could it be that you're also a spy for the Devil race? Take a look, Xiaohua used the Devil Saber and already transformed into a devil body. Even if Taoist Xiao is a devil, he's still a devil god protecting us human cultivators." Senior Brother Zhou shouted. "When have you ever seen a human protecting a pig?" Junior Sister Yin sneered. "Don't forget that we humans are food for the devil race." "Sigh, shut up." Lu Wuxia sighed. "Vice Sect Master Lien, I was seriously injured in the fight with the Devil Emperor. Right now, I need to go into seclusion to recuperate. You'll be in charge of the sect's affairs for now. If there's anything difficult to deal with, you can report to me." "Yes, this subordinate obeys." The man in front bowed. However, a moment later, he asked in a low voice, "About Xiaohua. Things will come to light eventually." Lu Wuxia's face showed a sense of helplessness. She waved her hand and said, "I'll just do my own thing. I won't listen, I won't believe, and I won't spread the news." "Yes, this subordinate understands." Vice Sect Master Lien nodded. "This subordinate will contact the conference hall and explain what happened here. Do as you wish." Lu Wuxia's figure flashed and disappeared in midair. However, her voice remained in the distance. "I need to go into seclusion. Respectfully see you off, Sect Master. I hope you'll be able to come out of seclusion soon." The group of male and female cultivators bowed. After Lu Wuxia left, Vice Sect Master Lien hesitated for a moment. He looked around and asked, "Did you see where Xiaohua went?" "Senior Brother Lien." Several people shook their heads. In the end, the cultivator surnamed Zhou opened his mouth and said, "At that time, this disciple was fighting against an enemy. However, Taoist Zhao's attack was truly awe-inspiring. When this disciple killed that zombie, I also saw Taoist Zhao's demonic body. However, after that, demonic energy surged and the blood river became chaotic. As for where Taoist Zhao went, I don't know. 2 great demon emperors attacked him from both sides." Vice Sect Master Lien shook his head regretfully. "Even if Xiaohua was a celestial with 3 heads and 6 arms, I'm afraid he wouldn't be able to survive." this was originally a trap. Xiao Hua naturally left with the demon race. The big-breasted but brainless junior sister Yin jumped out and shouted again. Unfortunately, this time, no one echoed her. Lu Wuxia had already left. Who would want to show off too much? Besides, no one knew whether Xiao Hua was a demon or not. If there was some kind of conspiracy, Xiao Hua wouldn't have escaped with the two demon emperors. After all, the demon saber had clearly wounded the two demon emperors when it had been activated. The dozen or so Misty School cultivators discussed for a moment. They waited for the demon formation in the sky to slowly disperse. The rich and fresh world's origin chi madly swept in, gradually blowing away the blood and killing intent within a radius of 10,000 li. In this life and death battle, countless human cultivators had died. Similarly, the number of demon race cultivators who died in Ping River was also extremely high. However, the Misty School had finally survived the most critical moment. With the descent of the starlight, all signs of life were reborn. The Earth's soul condensing formation and winnowing basket heart cleansing formation didn't immediately disperse. Instead, with the influx of world's origin chi, they became even more powerful. More than 10 fortresses were entangled by water dragons, cruising thousands of li away. Seeing this, the dozen or so Misty School cultivators flew to various places under the command of Vice Head Lian. The entire Misty School gradually returned to normal order. As for Xiao Hua, his situation was far worse than what these Misty School cultivators had expected. Xiao Hua didn't know the origin of the demon saber, but he was very clear in his heart. When the three demon emperors saw the demon saber, their expressions all changed. Even the heavenly demon coveted this demon saber. How could the origin of this demon saber be simple? Moreover, every time Xiao Hua activated the demon saber, he would be devoured by the demonic nature within the demon saber. This demonic nature was a great supplement to the demon race, but it was also a great harm to the human race. Therefore, with the existence of the demon spirit Xiao Hua in Xiao Hua's body, every time the demonic nature devoured him, Xiao Hua would deliberately guide it into the demon spirit Xiao Hua's body to eliminate the effects on himself. But even so, what kind of demon saber was a demon weapon? How could a simple guide method eliminate the demonic nature? Although the demon spirit Xiao Hua could obtain the majority of the demonic nature that was harmful to the human race was still engraved in Xiao Hua's heart. Xiao Hua himself said that every time he activated the demon saber, he would be a bit further away from the human world. Therefore, unless Xiao Hua had no other choice, he would never use the demon saber. Even if he used the demon saber, he would only let the demon spirit Xiao Hua activate it. He would never interfere. When he was training in the folded jadeite forgotten land of the Dragon Island, Xiao Hua coincidentally borrowed the power of the dragon domain to reconstruct his Dao realm. His Dao heart was also cleansed. It seemed like the demonic marks from before had already been eliminated, but the demonic nature in his heart had not completely disappeared. Ever since he arrived at the ruins, Xiao Hua had already brandished the demon saber several times. Especially when he escaped from the heavenly demon's fantasy land, he brandished the demon saber twice in a row when his profound chi was almost exhausted. At that time, the demon spirit Xiao Hua and the other doppelgangers were separated from Xiao Hua's body. The backlash from brandishing the demon saber twice was like a carving knife that engraved the demonic marks in Xiao Hua's heart. Therefore, after Xiao Hua escaped, he immediately went into seclusion. He wanted to find a remedy from the heavenly demon's profound chi. And this time, when Xiao Hua visited the Misty School, he once again encountered the two demon emperors joining hands to destroy the Misty School. Helpless, Xiao Hua brandished the demon's saber again. These two attacks were admittedly injuring the demon emperors, but the damage to Xiao Hua's heart was not any lighter than the two demon emperors. Furthermore, the counterattack of the demon emperor, who had the white bone demon arm and the innate space ability, after the white bone demon arm was destroyed, stimulated the demonic nature in Xiao Hua's heart. Xiao Hua's heavenly embodiment Earth Golden Body was quickly withdrawn. At the same time, his entire body drifted like a fallen leaf. The demon blood armor condensed from demonic chi absorbed the demonic blood and demonic flame from the demonic chi in the blood river of the demon race. Xiaohua even unconsciously took out the 2 demon hammers. Chapter 41-43. At this moment, the demon emperor did not have the time to look carefully. Otherwise, he would have definitely noticed Xiaohua's abnormality. Unfortunately, other than wanting to plot against Lu Wuxia, the demon emperor was also extremely embarrassed and angry. As a human, Xiaohua could use the demon saber murder. However, if he was prepared, the demon saber murder would not have caused such a huge injury to him. Furthermore, if he was prepared, he could join forces with the other zombie race's demon emperor to snatch the demon saber murder from Xiaohua's hands. Of course, this was on the premise that he knew that the demon saber murder was in Xiaohua's hands. The problem was that although Xiaohua used the demon saber murder in the battle against the demon race, the demon emperor did not tell this demon emperor about the demon saber murder. At this moment, the demon emperor immediately escaped into the void after injuring Lu Wuxia. He roared in his mind, "Huang Qian, what's going on? How did the demon saber murder appear in the ruins? How did this human cultivator activate it?" Huang Qian was the name of the zombie race. Emperor was the title of the demon race's demon emperor. At this moment, Huang Qian was also fleeing in panic. Hearing the demon emperor's question, he also angrily said, "Huang Qian, what you asked is also what this emperor wants to know. Don't forget that this emperor has suffered even more than you. Your demon saber murder directly slashed this emperor's body. Truly hateful. If not for this human sneak attack, how could this emperor be injured? Today's matter was originally planned properly. How did the demon saber murder appear in the Misty School's Ping River? If this is the case, our plan, won't it be delayed again? We've been trapped in the ruins for a long time. I'm afraid we'll attract the attention of other demon formations and the human race." The demon emperor Huang Qian became even more furious. If he had a trace of vigilance, he would not have allowed Xiaohua to attack him like this. Huang Qian coldly said, "Huang Qian, don't ask this emperor. When we return to the demon formation, you'd better ask Huang Qian of the Qiujia race. He was the first to meet Xiaohua, and he even fought with Xiaohua. He did not gain any advantage over Xiaohua. I think he was also injured by the demon saber murder. However, he did not tell you and me about it." "Damn Huang Qian." Huang Ku sneered. "It's not that he doesn't want to tell us. He wants to hide it on purpose. He wants to obtain this devil blade murder." "Why do you need to say such thoughts out loud?" Huang Chong sneered. "No one is a fool. Could it be that you want to ask him about this?" Huang Yu snorted coldly. He knew that he had fallen into Huang Yu's trap. However, Huang Yu was right. He would never tell the Devil Emperor that he had been injured by the Devil Blade murder, nor would he go and settle the score with Huang Yu. The 2 Devil Emperors removed the demonic array and retreated out of Ping River. The group of devils that were attacking the Misty School inside the demonic array also retreated. The demonic array was the same as the Earth Soul condensing array of the Misty School. Although it was removed, it did not disappear. Instead, it slowly faded into the void. The demonic chi formed a strange demonic chi passage in the space, guiding the devils to retreat along with it. As for Xiaohua, because he was waving the demonic hammer in his hand, the demonic chi on his devil body was also poured into the demonic array. Therefore, when his mind was controlled by the devil, his entire devil body also fell into the passage along with the demonic chi, retreating along with thousands of ordinary devil generals. Although Xiaohua's devil body did not have particularly obvious bone spurs or devil wings, the genuine demonic chi and devil flames were enough to confuse all devils below the level of Devil Emperor. Xiaohua's devil body fell into the demonic chi passage. The entire passage was several li wide. Inside the passage, the demonic chi slowly rotated in one direction. In the middle of the revolving demonic chi, there were wisps of blood swimming. After flying along the passage for several hours, the passage widened again. At the same time, the demonic chi became thinner. From time to time, the demonic chi would rush into the earth, fire, wind, and lightning. The earth, fire, wind, and lightning destroyed a part of the demonic chi, but the demonic chi seemed to be endless, repairing the passage from time to time. When the earth, fire, wind, and lightning rushed in, They brought along some of the power of the stars and the moon. When the power of the stars and the moon fell into Xiao Hua's devil body, it let out a low rumbling sound. Gradually, the demonic nature in Xiao Hua's mind began to fade, and Xiao Hua slowly woke up. Looking at the demonic qi passage near him, and then looking at the devil armor on his body, Xiao Hua very easily recalled what had happened before. At this moment, Xiao Hua's mind was attacked by the demonic nature, and his body was destroyed by the devil emperor. He was at the most vulnerable point. If he forcibly broke through, it would inevitably attract the attention of the devil emperor and bring about a fatal disaster. After thinking for a moment, Xiao Hua simply urged the demonic qi to cover his own aura and continued to move along the demonic qi passage. After a while, the heavy pressure in the demonic qi passage gradually increased. The demonic qi around the devils in front of Xiao Hua began to rotate strangely. Like a cocoon, more than 10 tentacles stretched out. These tentacles fell on the demonic qi passage, and the rotating demonic qi brought these devils into the depths of the earth, fire, wind, and lightning. Seeing this, Xiao Hua naturally followed suit and also hung his body on the demonic qi passage. However, in merely an hour, Xiao Hua suddenly felt his body lighten, and the power of the stars and the moon in the demonic qi passage became rich again. Xiao Hua slowly absorbed the power of the stars and the moon and was somewhat puzzled. Why is there such rich power of the stars and the moon in the earth, fire, wind, and lightning? However, without much time to think, the demonic qi passage in front of him suddenly disappeared, and Xiao Hua's figure actually fell outside the passage. When Xiao Hua's devil sense swept over, his complexion changed again. A kind of shock emerged from the bottom of his heart. He saw that this was a huge net-shaped blood array. The huge blood array was connected between hundreds of millions of blood balls, and those densely packed blood balls were one blood array after another. Countless devils were wantonly going in and out of the blood balls. And under this blood array, there was another layer of earth, fire, wind, and lightning that resisted the roaring demonic qi. This demonic array was so big, not only was Xiao Hua unable to see the edge with his naked eyes, even his devil sense was unable to probe the end. What was special was that the devil sense in this blood array was chaotic, like a bustling market in the mortal world. Xiao Hua's devil sense was not released far, and was immediately blocked by other valiant devil senses. However, it was only a short distance, and Xiao Hua also sensed the intense confinement power in the demonic array. Xiao Hua knew that even if he released his divine sense, it would probably not be able to pass through this demonic array. Damn it, isn't this the demonic array that this Xiao saw when he accidentally entered the ruins? Could it be that this Xiao has already rushed outside the earth, fire, wind, and lightning of the ruins along with the devil race's demonic array? Xiao Hua suddenly understood, and almost jumped up. Could it be that the earth, fire, wind, and lightning of the ruins is so thin, and just relying on the devil race's devil race to break through? Thinking back, this Xiao was in the earth, fire, wind, and lightning of the hidden immortal continent, but even after risking his life, he was still unable to escape from two Confucian cultivators. Yes, it might be like this. Xiao Hua pondered for a bit, and then thought again. The ruins is a star, the earth, fire, wind, and lightning around it is relatively thin, and the three continents are a continent. The continent is boundless, the earth, fire, wind, and lightning are unavoidably powerful, and can prevent the cultivators within the continent from leaving the continent. And the ruins is a sphere, the land within the ruins is a whole, the heaven and earth origin energy also flows differently in the entire sphere, forming a kind of cycle. The entire ruins is a relatively perfect composition, so the earth, fire, wind, and lightning appear to be somewhat thin. Thinking of this, Xiao Hua couldn't continue thinking about it. This was because below Xiao Hua, the other areas of the earth, fire, wind, and lightning were continuously surging with waves of fire like rising tides. Not only did they cover the earth, fire, wind, and lightning, but even some of the net-like demonic formation was destroyed by these waves of fire. This is the defensive array set up by the cultivators of the ruins. Xiao Hua understood. After carefully looking at it for a moment, he sighed again. This array can keep the devil race out of the earth, fire, wind, and lightning of the ruins, but it cannot completely protect the entire ruins. There are many flaws in it, so it is difficult to prevent the Devil Emperor from leading the devil race to sneak attack the cultivators of the ruins. Of course, the ruins is indeed the cultivation world of the upper realm. Dao sect cultivators at the 9th stage Dao transformation realm can set up a great array that can protect the entire planet. However, according to my understanding of the cultivators in the ruins, this great array might not have been set up by the current cultivators of the ruins. It might have been set up by the seniors of these cultivators. Their cultivation level should have exceeded the 9th stage Dao transformation realm. After looking at the great array of the ruins, Xiaohua focused his attention on the demonic array. In addition to the enormous blood flowing through many blood balls, the demonic qi and demonic flames flying out of the blood balls and blood balls were also present. After the demonic qi and demonic flames flew out, they fell into the void and disappeared. At the place where the demonic qi and demonic flames disappeared, some devil race troops either returned or disappeared. Alas, this demonic array is really big, and the power of this demonic array is far from what I can understand. Not only does this demonic array seal the outer layer of the ruins, but it also seals the void of the ruins. All the teleportation arrays are ineffective. Xiaohua looked at the solemn demonic formation and couldn't help but sigh. This is definitely not something that can be easily set up by 20 demon emperors. Even if all of my avatars are here, I'm afraid I still won't be able to destroy this demonic formation. The siege of the ruins is really difficult to break. Oh, and from my previous experience, the cultivators of the ruins originally had the home field advantage. However, with this demonic array, the cultivators of the ruins can't be sent away. The demonic array can also be used to teleport to any place in the ruins. This home field advantage has already fallen into the hands of the devil race. In this kind of situation, how can the human race win? While Xiaohua was thinking, the troop of devil race troops he was in moved again, flying towards the blood flow in the distance. Woo-woo! Just as a troop of devil race troops approached the blood flow, a demonic creature that looked like blood flew out of the blood flow. The demonic creature's blood rapidly rotated in midair. Both demonic qi and demonic blood gathered on one side, forming a kind of yin-yang fish shape. When the entire blood flow produced a suction force, the devil race troops excitedly rushed into the blood flow and disappeared along with the blood flow. When this troop of devil race troops entered the blood flow, it was the turn of Xiaohua's troop of devil race troops. When the demonic qi and demonic blood fell, the demonic blood and demonic flames inside the blood armor on Xiaohua's back that fought against the Xiantian true qi were actually somewhat diluted by the demonic qi. Chapter 41-44. Seeing this, Xiaohua was overjoyed. Waiting for the devil to generate a suction force, he hastily moved his body and used the blood-dripping paradise to rush into the bloodstream. Boom! With a loud sound, Xiaohua crashed into the bloodstream. After entering and seeing everything in front of him, Xiaohua couldn't help but be shocked. He saw that this was a blood-colored space, which was much bigger than what he saw from the outside. Furthermore, this blood-red space was divided into a dozen or so levels, each of which was transparent. On each level, there were extremely many demons who were obediently staying there, either lying down or standing up. Below each level, there was a torrential river of blood flowing in all directions. And the place where Xiaohua landed was also a stream of blood. The devil qi and devil flame on Xiaohua's body fell into the blood river, and an even purer devil qi and devil flame fell back into Xiaohua's body. Unfortunately, at this time, the devil spirit Xiaohua was not in Xiaohua's body. Xiaohua didn't dare to absorb too much of the devil qi and devil flame here. He quietly used the blood-dripping paradise to block the devil qi and devil flame outside his body. At the same time, he also used the cultivation method in his body to quietly suppress the injuries caused by the two devil emperors. At this moment, Xiaohua was surrounded by different devil clan members. Bloody light surged around the bodies of these devil clan members. Clearly, They were absorbing the blood energy from this blood river to recover the damage they had suffered when fighting against the Misty Sex formation. After moving forward like this for less than half an hour, a huge whirlpool appeared in front of him. It was like a big mouth that swallowed all the devils who fell into the whirlpool. Xiaohua slightly frowned. Hiding behind the devil armor, he looked at this whirlpool with a trace of vigilance in his heart. Unfortunately, at this time, Xiaohua didn't have any other choice except to adapt to the situation. Xiaohua rushed into the whirlpool along with the current. After a muffled sound, a fierce killing intent immediately appeared in front of him. Xiaohua didn't hesitate to swing his devil hammer. Pooh! With a loud sound, a devil general unexpectedly appeared in front of Xiaohua. That devil monarch also held a wolf-tooth club-like devil tool and hit Xiaohua's devil hammer. Roar! Seeing that his devil tool was blocked by Xiaohua, the devil general roared and once again swung his devil tool to attack. Xiaohua was somewhat puzzled. He thought that he had been seen through by the devil race, so he hurriedly waved his devil hammer to fight. But after fighting for a while, Xiaohua discovered that there were hundreds of demon generals waving their demon artifacts all around him. He was just one of them. What's going on? Xiaohua hurriedly released his devilish sense, wanting to take a look. Unfortunately, within this blood-colored space, his devilish sense was confined and could not leave his body. Xiaohua fought with the demon general for a while, and when he saw an opportunity, he smashed the demon general's head into smithereens. Xiaohua had just won when another lump of blood appeared on top of his head. Then, Xiaohua's figure was sucked into the blood once again. When he opened his eyes again, he was in another layer of the blood-red space, and an even more powerful demon general appeared before him. Motherfucker, I understand now. After killing 3 demon generals in succession, Xiaohua entered 3 different blood-red spaces. Moreover, these 3 demon generals were each more powerful than the other. Xiaohua suddenly realized, this is a way for the devil race to gain experience. They are actually training their own warriors at the same time they are surrounding the ruins. Although Xiaohua cultivated devil techniques, he was not familiar with the habits of the devil race. His understanding of the devil race was also obtained from Zhang Qingxiao's jade slip. Zhang Qingxiao himself had never been to the devil world, and his jade slip was also obtained from other devil race. Therefore, in Xiaohua's mind, he had always thought that the devil race was the kind of mighty and powerful people. However, the Battle of the Ruins allowed him to understand a lot. Those devil monarchs were each more cunning than the other. Of course, their power was pale and powerless in front of Xiaohua's absolute strength. However, when Xiaohua faced the devil monarchs, Xiaohua finally experienced the power of these devil monarch schemes. Looking at the devil formation that surrounded the ruins, although it was just a glimpse of the leopard, Xiaohua was also alarmed. He was secretly worried for himself and all the cultivators in the ruins. Xiaohua easily killed several devils. Then he saw a strand of blood-red crystal thread emerging from the space above. Xiaohua's gaze fell on it, and he could faintly see the image of several wailing devils in the crystal thread. Weren't they the devils that Xiaohua had killed before? This crystal thread fell and flew directly towards Xiaohua's head, scaring him into hastily dodging. At this moment, how could he not know that this blood-red crystal thread contained the essence blood of several devils? Unfortunately, he only dodged for a moment, and powerful blood chi surged in the surroundings, blocking his figure. Even the entire blood-red space was shaking. Xiaohua had no choice but to stop. Devil chi overflowed from the surface of his body, and his mind tightly stuck to the edge of the devil chi. When that blood-red crystal thread fell into the devil chi, just as it moved along with the devil chi, his mind immediately absorbed that crystal thread into the space. Jade Archive Xiaohua was afraid that this crystal thread would have some strange changes, and followed it into the space. Fortunately, just as that blood-red crystal thread was about to transform into the space, the blood stains spread out. Jade Archive Xiaohua made another move and condensed it into a crystal bead the size of a mung bean in his palm. Within this crystal bead, several devils were crazily wailing, looking extremely mournful. After storing this crystal bead, Jade Archive Xiaohua hurriedly escaped from the space. He thought that he had already sensed that his physical body was sucked away by the blood stains in the blood-red space, and his figure once again fell into another stream of blood. Xiaohua's mind returned to its original position, and he looked at the blood around him in bewilderment. This time, the blood was different from before. It completely annihilated Xiaohua's devil body. Moreover, many tentacles grew out from the devil blood and connected with Xiaohua's devil armor. Strands of devil blood flowed into the devil armor, and should be replenishing the deficiency of the devil armor. Damn it! Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. At this moment he really regretted letting devil spirit Xiaohua follow dragon vein Xiaohua and the others to the snow/gate. If devil spirit Xiaohua was by his side, not only would he not be in such a difficult situation when facing the devil emperor, but at this moment, everything in this devil array was really a great supplement for devil spirit Xiaohua. Xiaohua's eyes turned, and he released his mind again, guiding the devil blood into his space. However, this time, Xiaohua was not in a hurry to let Jade Archive Xiaohua enter the space. Instead, he confined the devil blood in a small space, and let the devil blood spread out. This time, the flow of blood was very long. Xiaohua flowed with the devil blood for almost an hour before it stopped. Moreover, the moment the flow of blood stopped, devil qi immediately gushed out from the passage, enveloping Xiaohua, and dragged him in a certain direction. The devil qi was filled with the power of confinement, and with the strength of a devil general, it was impossible to break free. The devil qi turned into a rolling image, and Xiaohua's figure rushed out of the passage in this devil qi. However, when he came out of the passage, Xiaohua's figure actually fell into the vague void. After a simple teleportation, Xiaohua's eyes flashed, and his figure appeared in a corner of the devil array again. Just as Xiaohua stood still in the demonic array, he saw that within 100 li to his left, swish, swish, swish. Demonic qi spurted out from the void one after another as more and more demonic generals appeared. These devil generals either had devil wings on their backs, white bones on their bodies, or devil horns on their foreheads. There were even some that looked like devil beasts. Xiaohua merely swept his gaze over these devil generals, and his heart skipped a beat. He hurriedly raised his head and saw several tall devil generals holding palm-sized devil banners, standing majestically in the air. These devil generals had devil horns on their heads, wings on their backs, and a layer of scales covering their bodies. These scales had strange devil runes on them. Xiaohua's gaze swept over these devil generals, and his gaze fell on one of them. Although Xiaohua couldn't tell the difference between this devil general and the other devil generals, he could clearly feel that this devil general was the ordinary devil general he had met when he led the Fortune Gate's disciples to the southwest border to rescue the White Cloud Monastery and the other 10 sects. His grandmother? Xiaohua looked at this devil general in bewilderment. What's going on? How do I know this devil general? When Xiaohua looked at this devil general, that devil general also sensed Xiaohua's gaze. He lowered his head to look at Xiaohua, and his gaze swept over the other devil generals that had appeared. Xiaohua didn't dare to look any longer, and his gaze also swept over the other devil generals near this devil general. Very clearly, the familiar feeling from before didn't appear again, and the devil banners in the hands of these devil generals flickered with a faint blood-red light, enveloping the surrounding space. Xiaohua's gaze moved away from the devil generals, and he looked into the distance. He saw a huge blood sphere that looked like a cocoon blocking his path. This blood sphere was different from the blood sphere he had seen before. The blood sphere in the devil array was a single entity, but this blood sphere was covered in blood. These blood streams were flowing rapidly, and they seemed to be separated from each other. There was even more devil qi that intertwined in the gaps between the streams of blood. Strange. Xiaohua's gaze fell on this blood sphere, and an indescribable feeling rose in his heart. Why does this blood sphere look similar to the metal and wood elements? However, it's really similar. Aren't the blood streams on the blood sphere the path of the magnetic force? Moreover, some of these blood streams flow towards one end of the blood sphere, while others flow towards the other end of the blood sphere. If this blood sphere reproduces a magnetic force, then it's really the blood array magnetic force. Just as Xiaohua was sizing up the devil array beneath his feet, Tens of thousands of devils had already gathered in the space of the devil array. They stood densely all around Xiaohua, and it was a magnificent sight. At this moment, several devil generals waved the devil banners in their hands, and thousands of blood threads flew out from the devil banners, landing on different devil generals. Xiaohua's body was no exception, and a blood thread also landed on his body. Moreover, the blood thread that landed on Xiaohua's body came from the devil banners of the devil general that Xiaohua was familiar with. When that blood thread landed, an indescribable feeling came from the devil armor, and the blood vessels in Xiaohua's body moved slightly. Chapter 41-45. All of you, listen to the order of the devil lord. Just as Xiaohua was frowning, a voice very strangely appeared from within Xiaohua's demonic armor. Xiaohua could clearly see that the voice was coming from the blood threads. However, when Xiaohua heard the voice of the demon general, he didn't feel that it was familiar at all. However, before Xiaohua could listen any further, a strange sound came from the distant space. The group of demon generals and Xiaohua all turned their heads to look in surprise. They saw that the space first seemed to be boiling and many bubbles floated out. Then, black and white light splashed everywhere. There were even some dark green light threads in the light. In the end, the space within 100 li rapidly collapsed. The space within a few hundred li was distorted by this collapse. In this distortion, several human figures were revealed like fireflies scattered on the surface of water. Boom! The moment these human figures appeared, the collapsed space suddenly exploded. A powerful aura rushed towards the blood sphere in the demonic array and the group of demon generals. When the aura rushed into the blood sphere, it was like a huge rock being thrown into the water. The blood pillar that formed an arc was deeply pressed into it. The group of demon generals didn't receive any orders. They all quietly stood in the air without moving. Wherever the aura passed, hundreds of demon generals were torn to pieces. When the aura passed by Xiaohua, he immediately understood. He couldn't help but exclaim in his heart, "Transmission channel! Someone in the ruins is using the transmission channel." Sure enough, wherever the exploding aura passed, the human figures merged into one. It was a young cultivator wearing a Taoist robe. The young cultivator's body trembled slightly. The light protecting his body also flickered. His pale face was filled with confusion and incomprehension. It seemed that he still didn't understand what was going on. However, before his divine sense could sweep out, he saw the group of demon generals and the bloody demonic array in the surroundings. The young cultivator immediately understood. He hurriedly raised his hand and a magic treasure that looked like a wheel appeared in his hand. Under the activation of the magic treasure, thousands of light pillars shot out from the magic treasure. Several demon generals that were closer to the cultivator were killed by the light pillars. Kill! The commanding demon generals were clearly shocked by the sudden turn of events. Only now did they regain their senses. Under the urging of several demon banners, tens of thousands of demon generals rushed towards the cultivators. Damn it! The young cultivator cursed. As he flew, he released his divine sense to search for a way to escape. The Dharma treasure in the cultivator's hand shone brilliantly and killed all the devil generals that pounced on him. The cultivator was obviously in the void refinement realm and the devil generals were no match for him. However, these devil generals were not afraid of death. Wherever the cultivator flew, they would chase after him. Xiaohua naturally flew along with these devil generals. Seeing that this cultivator had the upper hand, he simply observed from the back. If this cultivator was in trouble, or if this cultivator could find a way to escape from the devil formation, he would definitely make the first move. Seeing that many devil generals were killed by the cultivator, the devil generals holding the demon banners stopped. One of them waved the demon banners as if to send a message. However, at this moment, the devil general that Xiaohua was familiar with suddenly flew to the side of the devil general and seemed to say something. As a result, the devil general's demon banners stopped. Then, several devil generals activated their demon banners. From the devil formation closest to them, hundreds of blood pillars and devil chi flew out. They were even more ferocious than pythons as they pounced towards the cultivator. Sizzle! The cultivator activated his Dharma treasure. When the light pillars fell into the blood pillars, they immediately emitted sounds of corrosion. Moreover, the huge force from the blood pillars forced the cultivator's body to fall. "Oh, not good." Xiaohua didn't understand at first. However, when he saw the cultivator's body fall and his gaze followed the direction of the blood sphere in the devil formation, he suddenly understood. He cursed in his heart and hurriedly raised his hand to activate his magic power. However, Xiaohua was still too slow. The moment the cultivator's body fell several hundred feet, the blood pillars that were previously suppressed by the aura from the explosion of the teleportation formation suddenly rose up. The blood pillars covered the cultivator within a dozen miles. Inside the blood pillars, the cultivator's body flashed with brilliance. The originally majestic Dharma treasure suddenly lost its brilliance. Even the cultivator's body involuntarily fell towards the blood formation. No matter how the cultivator's true essence was activated, the sound of thunder resounded in the air. His body couldn't fly up even half an inch. Before Xiaohua could activate his magic power to help, the cultivator's body was already pulled into the blood sphere. Even if this blood sphere isn't a magnetic space, I'm afraid it's almost there. Xiaohua somewhat regretted not activating it earlier. As he thought this, his body was about to fall towards the blood sphere. "You all." At this moment, the devil general that Xiaohua was familiar with waved the demon banners in his hand. Xiaohua and the several hundred devil generals heard an order. "Follow this general to the blood pavilion. Use the power of the blood pavilion to exterminate the human race." The several hundred devil generals received the order and followed the devil general's body. However, these devil generals stopped a few miles away from the blood sphere and stood still in midair. Then, the devil general waved the demon banners in his hand. The devil runes on the surface of the devil general's bodies emitted obscure fluctuations. As these fluctuations rushed out, hundreds of blood pillars shot out from the devil ball. The devil runes on Xiaohua's body didn't fluctuate with the wave of the demon banners. However, the blood threads that the demon banners left in his devil armor still flickered with a dim blood-red light and attracted a blood pillar from the blood sphere. "This is a little strange." Xiaohua's heart moved. Why are the other devil generals fluctuating from their devil runes, but this old man's blood threads? In this way, didn't this devil general discover this old man? Not good. Thinking of this, Xiaohua suddenly remembered that when he saw the devil general earlier, the devil general also seemed to be looking at him. Perhaps this devil general had already discovered him. Just as Xiaohua was startled, a sneer appeared in the devil general's eyes. As he waved the demon banners, hundreds of blood pillars roared and enveloped Xiaohua. In the middle of the blood pillars, Xiaohua was familiar with the magnetic field force entangled and appeared. It really is the magnetic field force. Xiaohua finally understood why the void refinement cultivator was sucked in by the blood sphere. Under the magnetic field force, the power of the 5 elements was restrained. That cultivator didn't have a demigod body like Xiaohua, so naturally, all of his magic power was controlled by the magnetic field force. How could he escape? However, why would Xiaohua care about the magnetic field force? Lightning flashed around his body and let out a rumbling sound. At the same time that he destroyed the blood formation, his figure suddenly landed in front of the devil general. The devil general was shocked and hurriedly waved the demon banners to resist. However, Xiaohua waved his big sleeve and completely imprisoned him. His left hand reached out and easily took the demon banners. He reached out again and grabbed the devil general's throat. Narrowing his eyes, he stared at the devil general's eyes and coldly shouted, "Do you know Zhang Qingxiao?" Zhang Qingxiao? The devil general's voice was somewhat hoarse as he replied, "I don't know." Xiaohua frowned slightly and asked again, "Do you know this old man?" "You are Xiaohua, Taoist Master Xiao." The devil general nodded vigorously. "I know." Xiaohua was shocked and asked, "How do you know this old man?" "When Taoist Master killed the devil monarch, I saw it from the side." The devil general hurriedly explained. Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He asked again, "Before you came to the ruins, did you know this Xiao's name?" "I didn't." The devil general hurriedly shook his head. What's your name? Xiaohua thought for a moment and asked again. At the same time that Xiaohua asked, the strength in his hand increased by a bit. It seemed that as long as this devil general was a bit inappropriate, he would immediately kill this devil general. My name is Ya. The devil general's body twitched. He didn't dare to be negligent. After pausing for a moment, he said a very awkward syllable. What? Ya? Xiaohua didn't hear it clearly and asked again. The devil general panicked and said, My name is not easy to pronounce. I gave myself another name, called Di Shirtian. See. Xiaohua sucked in a breath of cold air and muttered, Di Shirtian? Di Shirtian? Yes. Di Shirtian stuttered, not knowing what he should say. Because Di Shirtian was definitely not someone that a small devil general like him could call himself. However, Xiaohua didn't mind. Instead, he asked again, When you saw this old man just now, did you already recognize this old man? Yes. Di Shirtian seemed like he was going to cry. Xiaohua using Kunlun mirror to kill the devil monarch had left an extremely deep impression on him. Now that he had fallen into Xiaohua's hands, he was even worse than a child. Xiaohua only needed to move his finger to kill him. Right now, he was extremely regretful. Why did he want to lay a trap for Xiaohua? Why did he have to kill this Xiaohua who was even more powerful than the devil monarch? Was it just to take credit? Or was it because of some other reason? Similarly, Xiaohua's finger really moved. However, the strength in his hand didn't appear. The devil chi around Xiaohua's body gradually disappeared, revealing his original appearance. He looked at Di Shirtian with interest and asked, This old man still has a question. If your answer satisfies this old man can consider letting you go. Go ahead and ask. Di Shirtian's mouth was a little dry as he asked softly. How many devils did you send to invade the ruins? How many devil monarchs came? Daoist Xiao. Di Shirtian smiled apologetically. However, no pleading could be seen on his malevolent face. I am just a devil general who is about to advance into devil commander. How could I know so much? How many devils do you know? Which devil race are you from? The name of your devil monarch. I am from the Mayfly race. My devil monarch is called the Mayfly race. Di Shirtian hesitated for a moment before answering. I only know of the zombie race and the Chiojia race. I don't know anything else. How do you break the devil array? Xiaohua asked again. Di Shirtian shook his head and said, I really don't know about this. Furthermore, I feel that it is impossible for humans to break this devil array. Daoist Xiao, this is already the second question. Damn it. Xiaohua's hand tightened as he scolded, This old man is only asking a few questions. Isn't it still dependent on this old man's mood? If you don't want to live anymore, this old man won't ask a single question. Chapter 41-46. Indra didn't dare to argue anymore. He only looked at the demon generals standing in the air, and his heart tightened. He couldn't see the situation above his head. Presumably, those demon generals had already started to move the formation. As long as those demon generals made their move, he would have no way to survive. One last question. Xiaohua narrowed his eyes and looked at the demon generals descending like dark clouds. He said, Are you a man or a woman? Indra was stunned. He couldn't believe his ears. He exclaimed, Daoist Xiao, you? How did you know I'm a woman? Xiaohua looked up and down at Indra. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Damn it, how would I know if you're a man or a woman? I was just casually asking. Yes. Indra smiled. Actually, the main body of my Mayfly race doesn't matter whether it's a man or a woman. We're not like the human race. The so-called men and women we speak of are only the forms we take when we're young. Xiaohua saw hundreds of blood pillars descending from above Indra's head. He clenched his fist. He wanted to kill Indra. However, the moment he made his move, an indescribable feeling arose in his heart. This feeling couldn't be explained. He snorted coldly and waved his hand. Indra's body flew dozens of miles away as if it was rotten. When Indra saw the ominous glint in Xiaohua's eyes, his heart had already turned cold. However, when he saw Xiaohua actually let him go, It was simply inconceivable. Then he looked at Xiaohua himself. His figure flashed, and he actually rushed towards the magnetic blood sphere. Io Daoist Xiao. Demonic banner. Sakura was also greatly alarmed in her heart. An indescribable feeling arose in her heart. She couldn't help but send a sound transmission. But whether Xiaohua heard this sound transmission or not, she didn't know. Seeing Xiaohua's figure submerged into the magnetic blood sphere without any suspense, and the hundreds of blood pillars also chased after him, Indra firmly believed that Xiaohua absolutely couldn't escape from the magnetic blood sphere alive. And she lost the demon flag. She would definitely be expelled from this demon formation by the demon commander and go to the Void Continent to complete a dangerous mission to atone for her crime. Even if Xiaohua could escape, Indra didn't think she would be able to see him again. But never in her wildest dreams would she have thought that one day, after who knew how many years later, in a place she still didn't know about, she would once again see those sword-like eyebrows and phoenix-like eyes that made her tremble in fear. Xiaohua had just let go of Sakura and pounced towards the magnetic blood ball. Hundreds of blood pillars rushed out from the magnetic blood ball and covered Xiaohua's body like a big hand, dragging him towards the magnetic blood ball. Even behind Xiaohua, the blood pillars controlled by the demon generals from the demon race also chased after him. However, amidst the rumbling of the blood pillar, Xiaohua could still faintly hear Sakura's voice. Demonic banner. Damn it. Xiaohua bitterly smiled. Is this also a kind of karma? Just because this Xiao released this puny demon general, he could use this demonic banner to escape from the demonic array? While he was pondering, the blood pillar fell down. Xiaohua didn't seem to be in any position, but his body was surrounded by thousands of lightning flowers. These lightning flowers were more effective than magic treasures. As long as the blood splashed on these lightning flowers, they would be destroyed by the lightning. However, what made Xiaohua somewhat puzzled was that his body was still attracted by a kind of enormous suction force from the magnetic blood ball and fell into it like a moth flying into a flame. Ooh! Xiaohua's figure fell into the blood river. First, there was a burst of ghost-like wailing and wolf-like howling sound. A group of blood demons scuttled out from the blood and pounced toward Xiaohua with bared fangs and brandished claws. If it was an ordinary cultivator, at this time, their magic power was insufficient and their body was controlled by the magnetic force. It was inevitable that they would be somewhat at a loss, but in Xiaohua's eyes, the blood demons were so unbearable. Green light flashed between Xiaohua's eyebrows, and layers of 3 corpses in thunder gushed out from Xiaohua's body. Kachacha! Under the thunder, who knew how many blood demons were instantly killed? However, Xiaohua flew towards the distant blood ball for half a cup of tea's time and still didn't see the pure magnetic force. Moreover, the blood demons were even more powerful and could already resist the soul cultivator's lightning flash and thunder roll technique. Xiaohua looked at these blood demons that were also flowing along the magnetic force's trajectory, and a thoughtful look appeared in his eyes. Needless to say, this magnetic blood ball was not only a part of the devil race's great formation, but also the place where the devil race used to refine the blood demons. If these blood demons were successfully refined by the magnetic blood ball, they would absolutely be a sharp weapon to exterminate human cultivators. Thinking of this, Xiaohua increased the number and range of 3 corpses in thunder. However, this magnetic blood ball was so big. Inside this devil race's formation, not only was Xiaohua's divine ability greatly restricted, but Xiaohua's injuries also didn't allow him to display his skills. Therefore, Xiaohua's several efforts were just a cup of water on a burning cart of firewood. After another cup of tea's time, the blood sea gradually decreased, and a dark red space gradually appeared in front of Xiaohua's eyes. Xiaohua understood that this was the true magnetic space. Therefore, Xiaohua slapped his forehead and opened his delirium breaker Dharma eye. He saw 2 colors of green and black light that were as dazzling as the sun. However, within these 2 colors of green and black light, there were some small dots that seemed to be the color of blood. They were like some tenacious ants, flowing along the magnetic force's arc at every moment. This is wood and water magnetic force. Xiaohua saw these dazzling black and green arcs and immediately understood. He hastily closed his delirium breaker Dharma eye. However, the current Xiaohua didn't have time to think too much. He released his soul sense and urged the wind escape technique to fly towards the depths of the magnetic space. Although the influence of the wood and water magnetic force on his soul sense was small, Xiaohua still spent a great deal of effort to find that young cultivator who was previously sucked into the magnetic blood ball in a corner of the magnetic space. At this time, that young cultivator was in an abnormally sorry state. Not only was his Taoist robe torn, his hair was scattered, and even the protective brilliance around his body had completely disappeared. Moreover, the cultivator was already unable to resist the magnetic force of the magnetic space. His body was lying on top of the magnetic force, trembling. It seemed that if Xiaohua had arrived a moment later, that cultivator's life might have been lost. Seeing Xiaohua flying over, the cultivator clearly saw Xiaohua's appearance under the reflection of the bloody light. His face revealed extreme astonishment. "For you, I am Fortune Gate's Xiaohua, Taoist Master Xiaohua." Xiaohua answered with a smile. "Fortune Gate? When did my ruins have such a sect?" That cultivator was slightly stunned and asked in confusion. Xiaohua was also stunned, but soon understood. This cultivator wasn't sent out from the ruins, but from outside the ruins into the ruins. However, the ruins were now sealed by the devil race's demonic array. This cultivator's transmission array couldn't reach the ruins, so he appeared inside the demonic array. Therefore, Xiaohua smiled and said, "Fellow Taoist doesn't need to know who I am. You only need to know that I am a human and can bring you out of here." You can bring I out?" That cultivator was somewhat incredulous. Xiaohua urged, "Everything can wait until you and I get out. I also fell here because I was injured by the Devil Emperor during the battle with him. Just now, I happened to see fellow Taoist being shot down here by the Devil Generals, so I took the risk to come here. You and I must quickly escape from here, otherwise, if the Devil Emperor catches up, you and I will lose our lives." "Many thanks, Taoist Master Xiao." That cultivator didn't have time to report his name. He raised his hand with difficulty and said, "But I can't circulate my magic power right now. How can I go out with Taoist Master?" Xiaohua said, "You don't need to worry about this. This Xiao has a fake Kunlun mirror that can take fellow Taoist in. Later, when the Kunlun mirror sucks, fellow Taoist doesn't need to resist." "This is no problem." That cultivator hurriedly nodded. "I understand." Hearing this, Xiaohua hurriedly took out the Kunlun mirror and slightly circulated his magic power. That Kunlun mirror shot out a four-colored light beam. However, just as this light beam flew out, it immediately became chaotic. Some turned into an arc and flew away, while some fell into the magnetic field. Just as that cultivator's heart turned cold, a suction force wrapped around him. He hurriedly withdrew all his resistance. However, he felt a blur in front of his eyes, and his figure fell into a place rich in spiritual aura. After Xiaohua took in the young cultivator, he didn't dare to be negligent. He hurriedly used the method of collecting metal and wood magnets in the past and dripped 18 drops of blood essence between the two poles of the wood and water magnets. Fortunately, Xiaohua had the heavenly demon essence in his space, so he was able to take out 18 drops of blood essence not long ago. After dripping the blood essence, Xiaohua hurriedly took some wood essence crystals and water essence ice essence crystals from afar. He didn't have time to refine the blood threads in the wood essence crystals and water essence ice essence crystals. After casually throwing them into the space, he flew towards the sea of blood above his head. Behind Xiaohua, a black tortoise with red eyes and an azure dragon with some demonic patterns between its eyebrows flew out from the two poles. They coldly looked at him and then disappeared. After taking some medicinal pills, Xiaohua's body once again surged with lightning. His figure once again rushed out from the magnetic blood sea. The direction Xiaohua chose was different from when he came in. Instead, it was in the direction of the ruins. When Xiaohua came out of the magnetic blood array, there weren't any devils in front of him. Or it could be said that the distant devils didn't notice the sudden appearance of a human in the magnetic blood array. Xiaohua coldly smiled. His body once again surged with demonic aura. The demonic armor covered his entire body, and a genuine devil appeared out of thin air. However, just as Xiaohua stepped on the demonic cloud and rushed down about 3,000 zhang from the demonic array, an extremely faint devil sense suddenly appeared from all directions and swept toward Xiaohua. Although this devil sense carried the smell of blood, it didn't have the fierceness of an ordinary devil. Moreover, the range of this devil sense was very wide. It swept out from all directions of the demonic array. When this devil sense landed on Xiaohua's body, it immediately stopped. Waves of strange fluctuations appeared in the space around Xiaohua's body. Motherfucker, how is this possible? Just now, they didn't discover this Xiao. How can they discover this Xiao now? Xiaohua was greatly alarmed. He knew that he had been discovered by the devils. Therefore, he didn't care about concealing anything. His body shone brightly, and the demonic aura was swept away. Then, his entire figure turned into a shadow and disappeared among the devils. Chapter 41-47. Swish, 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 swish. With a light sound, a layer of ink-like darkness suddenly appeared within 1,000 li of the demonic array. In this darkness, a lightning-like trace appeared in an instant, and at the end of this trace, Xiaohua's figure appeared in a slightly sorry state. As soon as Xiaohua's figure appeared, his divine sense valiantly swept over 1,000 li range. Puff puff. A series of explosions sounded in all directions, and the low-level demons near Xiaohua were shattered by Xiaohua's divine sense. Strange. Xiaohua was a little baffled. There is no demon above the level of demon commander within 1,000 li. Which demon can restrict this old man's teleportation? Then, Xiaohua's figure flashed and disappeared again, and this time, his divine sense was left outside his body, paying attention to the strange scene in the surroundings. Sure enough, in just a moment, the demonic sense that swept over Xiaohua before moved again, and a pitch-black demon body appeared in the surrounding void along with the demonic sense, surrounding Xiaohua within 1,000 li, revealing the traces of Xiaohua's teleportation. Xiaohua teleported in the demonic array. At the beginning it was still easy, but in the end, the space seemed to be blocked by mud, and became more and more difficult to move. He had no choice but to use the lightning escape, and this was quite difficult to move 1,000 li. Looks like a demon discovered this Xiao, and then controlled the demonic array to stop this Xiao. At this time, Xiaohua already somewhat understood, but at this time, his figure had already reached the edge of the demonic array, and Xiaohua had already seen wisps of fire in the blood-colored darkness. Xiaohua's figure appeared, and with a wave of his hand, he took out the demonic banner he snatched from Indra's hand, and the demonic chi around his body surged into the demonic banner, and then, after a little test, hundreds of blood threads flashed on the demonic banner, and fell on the blood array. The blood array slightly trembled, and then, according to the blood threads, it divided into hundreds of pieces, and these hundreds of pieces of the blood array began to tremble, gradually forming a whirlpool-like demon head. Once the demon head was formed, it actually opened its mouth and said coldly, "Human actually wants to pass off as a demon to pass through this senior's body, don't you think? You are too delusional?" As he spoke, a faint demonic sense rushed into the demonic banner in Xiaohua's hand along the blood threads. Boom boom. A series of muffled booms rang out as the demonic banner was easily destroyed by the demonic sense. At this moment, Xiaohua suddenly came to a realization and shouted in disbelief, "You are the devil spirit of the devil formation?" Ha! That spinning devil head laughs strangely, causing the surrounding devil array to tremble. You have been in this sovereign's body for so long, and you only found out now. Damn it! Xiaohua was somewhat aghast. He naturally lowered his head and looked around. In his heart, he really couldn't believe that such a large demonic array actually had intelligence. Moreover, it even formed a demonic spirit. If that was the case, then everything that had happened to him in the demonic array would make sense. Oh! Just at this time, a powerful devil sense that could overturn the sky appeared from afar like a hurricane, and a roar followed. "Xiaohua! You actually followed me to the demonic array? Then don't leave." Devil Emperor. Hearing this, Xiaohua couldn't help but smile bitterly. In front of him was a devil spirit of the demonic array whose depth was unknown, and behind him was a devil emperor whose strength surpassed his own. Although Xiaohua didn't know the extent of the devil emperor's injuries, Xiaohua was clear about his own situation. At this time, it was absolutely not suitable for him to fight. Otherwise, death was secondary. If he fell into the devil path, that would be terrible. Therefore, Xiaohua raised his hand and took out the Kunlun mirror. Rarely seen, an 8th-rank scattered nascent soul poured all of his true essence into the Kunlun mirror. Woo! The entire Kunlun mirror trembled, as if it was cheerfully chirping. On the surface of the Kunlun mirror, a faint blood light and flame appeared. There were several layers of blood light, but there was only one flame. The corner of Xiaohua's mouth slightly smiled. His index and middle fingers came together and formed a seal. His mouth also uttered a draconic voice, ha! As Xiaohua's 2 fingers touched the flame on the Kunlun mirror, a several zhang large light beam came out of the Kunlun mirror and directly shone into the blood array. However, the strange thing was that the light beam seemed to fall into the blood wave in the devil flame, but the light beam didn't really touch the blood wave. It was as if the light beam opened a passage out of thin air. Damn it. Xiaohua sighed. This Xiao is now a cultivator before the Mahayana stage. I used all of my true essence of an 8th-rank scattered nascent soul to open the passage of the Kunlun mirror. Moreover, this passage seems to be only a few hundred li. If I want to really control this Kunlun mirror, I'm afraid it will be difficult to succeed without immortal spiritual power, right? Kunlun mirror, how can this guy be here? At this time, the devil spirit of the demonic array also roared. The blood array within 100 li surged and rushed towards the light beam of the Kunlun mirror. Unfortunately, no matter how the blood sea wreaked havoc, it couldn't touch the light beam. However, within 100 li of Xiaohua, a crazy devil chi was born. The devil emperor borrowed the power of the demonic array and caught up to Xiaohua in a moment. Xiaohua didn't dare to be negligent. His figure moved the light beam into the Kunlun mirror. With a wave of his big sleeve, the Kunlun mirror disappeared into the demonic array along with the light beam. Chase. After a few breaths, Huang Yu's figure appeared. His face was full of anger. He only hesitated for a moment and shouted angrily. The blood array rushed out of the demonic array and covered him. It also disappeared. Outside the demonic formation, there was a huge formation that looked like a sea of fire that protected ruins. However, this formation wasn't as tight as the demonic formation. There were many flaws in it, and there were many elements of earth, fire, wind, and thunder that rushed out from the flaws. At this time, in the sky several li away from the demonic array, a 4-colored halo flashed. That halo rapidly rotated and instantly formed a light ball. In a moment, Xiaohua's figure appeared in the light ball. When the light scattered, Xiaohua hurriedly looked back at the demonic array several hundred li away and released his divine sense. However, just as his divine sense landed on the demonic array soared with 100 zhang of flames and burned his divine sense. Damn it, how can this demonic array be my match? I'm not convinced. Xiaohua was a little helpless. His figure swayed and flew towards the location of the earth, fire, wind, and lightning. He also knew that it would not be long before the demonic emperor rushed out of the demonic array to kill him. After flying for a while, Xiaohua suddenly thought of something. He took out the Kunlun mirror and shook it, dragging that young cultivator out. The cultivator looked like he was adjusting his breathing. When he suddenly appeared, he was sitting cross-legged in the air. He did not even open his eyes. Xiaohua anxiously shouted, "Fellow Taoist, quickly come and help I have already escaped from the demonic array. However, under this demonic array, there is a Tao sect array. I'm not familiar with it. I wonder if fellow Taoist has any ideas?" The cultivator hurriedly opened his eyes. When he scanned with his divine sense, his expression changed greatly. He said in shock, This is the demonic array's realm protection array. What can I do?" As he spoke, the cultivator's divine sense naturally swept towards the demonic array above his head. Gee! A strange laugh came from the demonic array. Several strands of the cultivator's divine sense were actually devoured. Oh my God! When did the demonic array besiege my ruins? No wonder all the transmission arrays can't be used. The cultivator's face was really ashen. He looked at Xiao Hua in surprise and cried out involuntarily. You are walking into a trap. Xiao Hua looked at this cultivator who was as unlucky as him. This cultivator must have thought of all sorts of ways to return to the ruins, but he didn't expect that what greeted him was a dead end. Ayo! At this time, 1,000 zhang tall demonic pillar rushed out from the demonic array in the distance. The demonic emperor stepped out on the clouds. All right, I have a communication talisman. I don't know if it can be used. The cultivator suddenly woke up and hurriedly took out a jade talisman from the Sumeru ring. He activated his magic power and said, after all, this realm protection array is rarely activated. Oh no. Good, it can be used. That's great. The communication talisman drew an arc in the air and disappeared into the array. The cultivator let out a long sigh of relief and said with a smile, Taoist Master Xiao, don't worry. Wait until we enter the realm protection array. Not to mention the demonic emperor, even if the demonic master comes, we don't have to be afraid. Hearing this, Xiao Hua understood that this cultivator definitely came back from other places in the cultivation world. If it was a cultivator from the ruins, no one would say such shameless words. If the realm protection array was useful, how could the demonic emperor avoid the array and sneak into the ruins? However, after a moment, Xiao Hua frowned again and a new doubt arose. That's not right. Since the demonic emperor of the demonic array can enter the ruins realm protection array, even if they sent the demonic array in bit by bit over the years, they would have sent all the demonic array in. Why are they guarding the demonic array? Could it be they want to finish it in one fell swoop? Kill all the cultivators in the ruins all at once? Only in this way can they collect more souls? But if that's the case, what about the wandering souls they killed over the years? Most of them have already been collected by this Xiao. What else can they get? Forget it, I don't care so much. When I go back this time, I'll go to every corner of the ruins and pull the firewood from under the cauldron of the demonic array. Maybe the demonic array will withdraw when they see that there are no more wandering souls. Just as he was thinking, he saw a several hundred zhang long fire pillar rushing out of the realm protection array. A white-haired cultivator appeared in the fire pillar, holding the communication talisman that the young cultivator had sent out. The young cultivator didn't dare to be negligent and hurriedly cupped his hands and said, This one is Yang Chong, a disciple of the Misty School. I went out to gain experience and have just returned from the Tai-Bai astral boundary. I was trapped in the demonic array. Fortunately, Taoist Master Xiao of the Fortune Gate rescued me. Now that the two of us have escaped from the demonic array, the demonic emperor is chasing after us. Please let us enter the realm protection array. Oh! Who would have thought that the young cultivator's face would turn strange after hearing the young cultivator's words? His gaze actually pierced through the fire pillar and looked at Xiao Hua. Seeing that the cultivator guarding the realm protection array didn't answer and didn't open the realm protection array, Xiao Hua had a bad feeling in his heart. Chapter 41-48. Sure enough, as Xiao Hua expected, the old cultivator replied indifferently, Yang Chong, don't blame I for being unreasonable. It's just that the ruins is facing an unprecedented crisis. For some reason, the devil race has been besieging the ruins for hundreds of years. In these hundreds of years, not only have the cultivators in the ruins not been able to go out, but none of the disciples outside the ruins have returned. This poor Taoist does not know how you were teleported back, but this poor Taoist knows that Xiao Hua possesses the devil race's cultivation technique. Previously, in Ping River, he fought with the devil emperor in front of your Misty Sect's sect master. He has the devil saber in his hand and scared the devil emperor away, and he himself disappeared into thin air. Now, he appeared here again. Yang Chong, do you think I will let you in? No way, right? Yang Chong was shocked and looked at Xiao Hua with some disbelief. His figure actually flew back several meters with a vigilant face. Damn it. Xiao Hua's eyes narrowed slightly as he looked at the cultivator inside the fire pillar. He really wanted to punch his nose and see what it looked like if his nose was crooked. Although he was an outer world cultivator, In order to kill the devil race in the ruins, he brought the Fortune Gate's disciples out of the Shenhua continent. In order to save the White Cloud Monastery and the other 8 sects in the southwest border, tens of thousands of Fortune Gate's disciples died. He was trapped by the heavenly demon for more than 10 years and experienced life and death. Xiao Hua believed that what he did was much more than a real ruins cultivator, but in the eyes of some people, these merits were not worth a trace of trust. He only revealed his devil body and devil saber. Moreover, this was to save hundreds of thousands, no, millions of Misty School's disciples. Just because of this suspicion, the cultivator in the Realm Protection Array actually didn't let him in and let the Devil Emperor chase him. Xiao Hua's heart suddenly turned cold. Xiao Hua was even disappointed. He looked up at the Devil Array and calculated in his heart. With his strength, since he came here, he might be able to break through the Devil Array. If he could break through the Devil Array, then the world outside the Devil Array was huge. He already had the Cultivation World's star chart in his hand. Although there was no transmission array to return to the hidden Immortal continent, who knew if there were other places? Escaping would be better than dying here, right? However, this thought merely flashed through Xiao Hua's mind. After all, Sun Jian, his clones, and the several 100,000 Fortune Gate disciples fighting the Devil Army were still inside the ruins. Xiao Hua couldn't possibly abandon them and live alone. At this moment, another voice sounded beside his ear. Yang Chong flew over with an apologetic look on his face, as if he was embarrassed by his vigilance just now. Spiritual Master Xiao, I don't know what your identity is, but now I have no other choice. He could only choose to believe in the real person. Moreover, I also knew that if the Taoist master wanted I's life, he probably wouldn't even need to enter the magnetic space, for I would have already fallen. I am willing to advance and retreat together with Taoist Master Xiao. Yang Chang's words were very good, but Xiao Hua didn't feel particularly comfortable listening to them. The reason was very simple. Xiao Hua had already seen through Yang Chang's thoughts. After all, Yang Chang's thoughts were nothing more than 2 considerations. First, since Xiao Hua could save Yang Chong from the magnetic blood array, it meant that Yang Chong had value. Xiao Hua was still outside the realm protecting Grand Formation, so Yang Chong's value was still there. If Xiao Hua wanted to use Yang Chong to enter the ruins, then he couldn't kill Yang Chong. Secondly, it was even simpler. Compared to the ferocious devil race, Xiao Hua looked like a human and was pleasing to the eye. Compared to the murderous aura behind him, Yang Chong was willing to bet on his own moral standing and Xiao Hua's moral standing. But Xiao Hua looked at Yang Chong with a smile and said, "What if I have other intentions and want to use your identity to enter the ruins?" Yang Chong's face turned slightly red, then he raised his head and nodded vigorously, saying, "Yes, I do have an idea in my heart. Because I don't know Taoist Master at all. Although Taoist Master saved me from the Devil Array, Taoist Master Xiao was able to come and go freely in the Devil Array where devils were dancing wildly. Taoist Master Xiao was also able to come and go freely in the magnetic space where it was extremely difficult for human cultivators to get close. How could I not doubt Taoist Master's motives? However, I am also a human. I would rather die in the hands of a human like Taoist Master than die in the hands of a devil race." Although Xiao Hua nodded, his eyes flickered again. He ignored the devil sense that had already swept over him. After Yang Chong finished speaking, he raised his voice to the cultivator inside the fire pillar and said, "I risked my life to teleport back from the Taibai astral boundary because I have an important message to send back. Since I can't return to the Misty School at this time, I ask fellow Taoists to spread this message to the various sects in the ruins." "Then, please speak, fellow Taoist Yang." The cultivator inside the fire pillar nodded indifferently, unmoved. Yang Chong looked at the Devil Emperor in the distance who was chasing over. His face turned slightly red and he said loudly, "This Yang has received a top-secret message. The Moon God realm may have already experienced a great desolate star storm. Although the ruins are remote, it will be destroyed by this great desolate star storm sooner or later. I ask all the sects in the ruins to make early plans. And I know. I will definitely report this to the assembly hall." A trace of shock appeared on the cultivator's face as he transmitted his voice. Then, the old cultivator looked at Xiaohua again. At this time, the flames around the cultivator inside the fire pillar began to sway. Obviously, he was affected by the Devil Emperor's devil sense. However, the old cultivator's voice also came, "Taoist Master Xiao, it's not that I don't believe you. I also don't want to believe you. After all, your Fortune Gates fight in the southwest border is obvious to all the cultivators in the ruins. However, I don't have the qualifications to believe you. Even more so, I don't have the qualifications to let you in. I protect the Great Boundary Protecting Formation, and I shoulder the lives of hundreds of millions of human cultivators in the ruins. I can't act on my own. I only have 2 questions for Taoist Master Xiao. First, if you were in my place, would Taoist Master Xiao dare to let me and Yang Chong into the formation? Second, is other people's opinion more important, or is your own action more important?" At this point, the fire pillar's flames suddenly extinguished, and the cultivator's figure also disappeared along with the flames. "Ah!" Xiaohua first lowered his head, then clapped his hands and laughed loudly. "I act on my own will, my will is my heart is Ren Xiaoyao, who cares if the sky collapses or the earth sinks?" With that, Xiaohua waved his sleeve and covered Yang Chong, saying, "Yang Chong, if you believe this Xiao, then don't resist." Sensing the powerful magic power that completely confined him, Yang Chong smiled bitterly and said, "Taoist Master Xiao, although this one wants to struggle, I'm not as strong as Taoist Master Xiao." Xiaohua smiled slightly and didn't say anything more. Carrying Yang Chong, the universe in the sleeve flashed brilliantly, and once again he appeared on top of the earth, fire, wind and thunder formation extremely far away. However, Xiaohua's eyes swept and he teleported again, not stopping at all. This happened a few times, and when the Devil Emperor rushed over with a roar, Xiaohua had already kept Yang Chong into the Kunlun mirror. Devil Qi once again appeared on his body, and he rushed into the earth, fire, wind and thunder formation along the path of the Devil Qi from before. The Devil Emperor pounced over, and just as he was about to get close to the earth, fire, wind and thunder formation, boom! Tens of thousands of fire crows flew out from the huge fire pillar and pounced on the Devil Emperor. The Devil Qi around the Devil Emperor surged, and several devil arms formed from white bones waved their devil weapons. Devil flames overflowed into the sky and extinguished some of the fire crows, but the rest of the fire crows still pounced on the Devil Emperor and devoured the Devil Qi around him. The Devil Emperor hesitated for a moment, and with a pooh, he spat out a mouthful of dirty blood, extinguishing dozens of fire crows near him. Then, he looked at the earth, fire, wind and thunder formation with hatred, and said in bewilderment, "This Xiaohua is a little strange. How did he know that this was the place where the devil formation attacked the ruins? Previously, in order to conceal this place, this emperor urged the devil formation to attack at thousands of earth, fire, wind and thunder formations. Damn it, after Xiaohua passes through here today, this loophole will definitely be discovered by the human race. If this emperor wants to enter the ruins again, it will be a lot more troublesome. Damn it, really damn it." As he spoke, the realm protection formation of the ruins surged with a monstrous sea of fire, and groups of fire crows and many fire attribute magic weapons surrounded it with a terrifying aura. Seeing this momentum, the Devil Emperor gritted his teeth and urged the devil clouds to fly toward the devil formation. Even after the Demon Emperor left, the sea of fire didn't stop. It continued to howl as it obscured the earth, fire, wind, and lightning in the area. A dozen or so streaks of dazzling light revolved around the earth, fire, wind, and lightning several times before finally disappearing. The passageway inside the earth, fire, wind, and thunder formation was far simpler than Xiaohua thought. He urged the Devil Qi, and very keenly sensed the aura of the Devil Qi passageway that hadn't disappeared yet, so he landed in it extremely easily. Although the earth, fire, wind, and thunder formation in the surroundings was constantly burning and blowing away the Devil Qi on Xiaohua's body, this wasn't considered dangerous for Xiaohua. However, in just a moment, a stream of fire several times stronger than the earth, fire, wind, and thunder formation began to appear behind Xiaohua. Damn it! Xiaohua cursed inwardly. How could he not know that this was the realm protection formation that patched up the flaws of the earth, fire, wind, and thunder formation? Cursing was one thing, but Xiaohua wasn't willing to contend against the might of this realm protection formation. He hurriedly focused his mind and urged his figure to quickly escape, but in the sky several tens of thousands of kilometers away from Ping River, a stream of devil chi flashed within the earth, fire, wind, and thunder formation. Then, another stream of fiery light rolled out. Whoosh! The devil chi was instantly swept away by the fiery light, and a thin human figure flashed out from within the devil chi. Wasn't that Xiaohua? At this time, Xiaohua was in a somewhat sorry state, but there was a smile on his face. He turned his head to look at the fiery light within the earth, fire, wind, and thunder formation and spat. Then, he flew to the nearest mountain peak. Xiaohua released his divine sense, but he couldn't see where he was, so he let Yang Chong out of the Kunlun mirror. Yang Chong looked to his left, and joy appeared on his face. He bowed and said, "Junior, thanks Spiritual Master Xiao for saving my life." No need to say anything more. Xiaohua waved his hand and said, "First, tell me about that great desolate star storm in the moon god realm. When will it arrive? How powerful is this great desolate star storm, and how will it affect the ruins?" Chapter 41-49. Oh! Hearing this, Yang Chong hurriedly explained, "The so-called star explosion is when a planet like the ruins explodes for some reason. Of course, the planet must be big enough. The explosion of such a big planet will create a shockwave, and this kind of power of heaven and earth will spread in all directions. If there are no other planets around the planet, the shockwave will become smaller and smaller, and finally disappear. But if there are other planets affected before the shockwave subsides, that planet will also explode. Then the shockwave will increase again. This old man understands." Xiaohua nodded. "If the shockwave is big enough, the entire moon god realm will be destroyed by this star explosion?" "That's right." Yang Chong hurriedly nodded and said, "But this junior is also not sure about this news. After all, the moon god realm is almost boundless for void refinement cultivators like us. Who knows where this star explosion will come from? But since this junior knows this news, I can't not send it to the Misty School. All communication methods and teleportation channels can't be used." This junior just remembered that the Misty School had a teleportation array in Taibai Star Realm a long time ago that was no longer in use. Forget it, no need to say any more. If this star explosion is real, how long will it take to reach the ruins? Xiaohua waved his hand, stopping Yang Chong from explaining again. Yang Chong hesitated for a moment and said, "At most 10,000 years." Xiaohua understood and said thoughtfully, "This is the size of the moon god realm, right?" Yang Chong answered honestly. "This is the estimation of some seniors. This junior doesn't know." Xiaohua didn't ask any more about this matter. He looked around and said with a smile, "Where is this place, do you know?" Yang Chong had already released his consciousness. After looking for a moment, he pointed in a direction and said, "This place is more than 70,000 miles from Ping River. My Misty School's teleportation array is not far from here." Xiaohua looked in the direction Yang Chong pointed, and said with a smile, "Let's go, this old man will go with you to Ping River. There's no need to use any teleportation array. This old man wants to ask Lu Wuxia, when did this old man's good intentions turn into ill intent?" "Yes." Yang Chong knew that Xiaohua was angry in his heart, but he didn't dare to say anything, let alone release a messaging talisman, so he answered in a low voice. Xiaohua's eyes flashed with a fierce light. With a wave of his sleeve, he first imprisoned Yang Chong, then activated the lightning escape technique and flew towards Ping River. As expected, after Xiaohua flew for a while, he didn't see Ping Jiang. He also couldn't find any trace of Ping Jiang with his spiritual force. Xiaohua knew that he had flown in the wrong direction. Just as he was about to release Yang Chong, he saw a white-robed scholar with a sword at his waist flying towards a certain direction. Xiaohua landed in front of this white-robed scholar. Ah! Xiaohua's sudden appearance startled the white-clothed scholar. But seeing Xiaohua's appearance, the white-clothed scholar immediately bowed and saluted. Junior Misty School's Yang Haoya greets Senior Xiao. Junior thanks Taoist for saving my Misty School. Get up. Xiaohua's heart warmed. He helped this disciple up and said with a smile, Where are you going? Junior knew that the sect was besieged by the demon race and hurriedly rushed back to Ping River. Junior's cultivation is limited. Although Junior used the transmission formation, I still couldn't make it back. Yang Haoya hurriedly replied, but Junior also received a message from the sect on the way back. I know Senior's spirit of bravely fighting 2 demon emperors on Ping River. Xiaohua asked with interest. Yang Haoya, don't forget, this old man might be a spy of the demon race. Spy? Yang Haoya stared blankly for a moment, then laughed. That's the gossip of people with ulterior motives. If Senior was a spy, the Southwest sect would have already fallen into the hands of the demon race. The ruins would have already fallen. How could my Misty School still have a place for Junior to stay? Xiaohua nodded slightly, then asked again, Which direction is the Misty School? Although Yang Haoya was astonished, he didn't dare to ask too much. He pointed to the direction in front of him and said, There's still 30,000 li ahead. There's a small transmission formation of my Misty School, no need. Follow this Xiao and fly there. This time, Xiaohua didn't dare to use the universe creator. He just raised his hand and grabbed, bringing Yang Haoya to fly in that direction. Naturally, he was corrected twice by Yang Haoya. Xiaohua's divine sense finally saw the familiar Ping River. Soon after, Xiaohua flew for a moment and released Yang Chong and Yang Haoya. Seeing Yang Chong appear, Yang Haoya stared blankly for a moment, then hurriedly bowed and said, Granduncle, disciple Yang Haoya greets Granduncle. Why did you suddenly return to Ping River? Yang Chong naturally didn't recognize Yang Haoya. Yang Haoya explained a few more words before Yang Chong helped him up. Originally, he wanted to explain something, but Xiaohua said impatiently, Let's return to Ping River first. Yes, Senior. Yang Chong knew that Xiaohua was in a bad mood, but he still nodded and followed Xiaohua to Ping River. At this time, the smoke of war in Ping River had yet to settle. The chaotic yuan qi of heaven and earth and the remnant devil qi were tangled together, and the unpleasant smell of blood still assailed the nostrils. Xiaohua also sensed that there were many wandering souls nearby that couldn't fall into the 9 springs. They were still lingering around Ping River. Xiaohua wasn't in the mood to collect these wandering souls. He only looked at the flashing lights of the dozens of big cities in the distance and flew forward. The appearance of Xiaohua and the other 2 immediately attracted the attention of the patrolling disciples. Several people came forward to greet them, and several people hurriedly flew away to report. Not long after, many disciples came forward to greet them. Unsurprisingly, all of the disciples had gratitude in their eyes, and the reverence on their faces didn't have any hypocrisy. Looking at these disciples, although there was still some anger in Xiaohua's heart, he felt that his previous efforts were worth it. He also felt that the injuries on his back were gradually getting better. Although the cultivators of the Misty School had different opinions about Xiaohua's devil arts, they were all afraid of Xiaohua. When they heard that Xiaohua had survived the attack of 2 devil emperors and even appeared in Ping River again, although the disciple who reported didn't say anything, everyone could see that Xiaohua was condemning them. Therefore, when the vice sect leader Lien brought a group of Misty School cultivators to welcome Xiaohua, he had a respectful expression on his face, but his heart was on tenterhooks. Xiaohua's divine sense swept over, and when he saw that Wuxia wasn't among them, he couldn't help but frown. The vice sect leader Lien hurriedly went forward and bowed. Greetings to Taoist Xiao. Junior represents the disciples of the Misty School to thank Taoist Xiao for his help. The other cultivators who came to welcome Xiaohua also bowed and thanked him. Xiaohua raised his hand, and a barrier appeared out of thin air, blocking their salutes. Xiaohua said indifferently, I don't dare to accept this. I might be a human devil heart, but I joined hands with 2 devil emperors to put on a show in front of the Misty School. I don't deserve any thanks. The vice sect leader Lien and the others' faces were burning, and they stood there awkwardly. They couldn't continue to bow, and when they stood up, they felt embarrassed. Where is Lu Wuxia? Xiaohua didn't feel like talking to them anymore, so he withdrew his magic and asked. The vice sect leader Lien took the opportunity to bow, stood up and said, Taoist Xiao, our sect leader was seriously injured in the battle with the Devil Emperor, and is currently in seclusion to heal her injuries. Oh, sect leader Lu Wuxia was injured? Xiaohua was slightly surprised. The vice sect leader Lien hurriedly told him what happened after Xiaohua disappeared, and finally said, if Taoist Xiao has something important to say, Junior can send a message to the sect leader. No need. Xiaohua waved his hand. It seems that the Devil Emperor really wants to destroy the Misty School. After being injured by this old man, he still wants to attack. Since sect leader Lu is injured, let her heal quickly. Who knows when the Devil Emperor will attack again? At that time, without this Xiao and the Devil Emperor's cooperation to put on a show, I'm afraid the Misty School will be in trouble. Yes. The vice sect leader Lien nodded, and glanced at the several disciples beside him who lowered their heads in silence. The anger in his heart was very obvious. The vice sect leader Lien thought for a moment, and then glanced at Yang Chong and Yang Haoya beside Xiaohua, and said in a low voice, Senior, please come to the hall and serve tea, no need. Xiaohua waved his hand again and was about to leave. How could Yang Chong not understand the vice sect leader Lien's intention? He didn't go forward to bow. Wasn't it because he was waiting for this opportunity? Yang Chong hurriedly stepped forward and bowed. Taoist Master Xiao, you saved this junior from the devil array. This junior has nothing to repay you with. Now that you are leaving, this junior will inevitably leave a knot in his heart. How about inviting Taoist Master Xiao to sit in the hall? This junior will offer you a cup of spiritual tea as a token of my thanks. Xiaohua frowned and hesitated. Xiaohua had always been soft-hearted. Even if it was a request from an ordinary person, he would still consider it. Not to mention Yang Chong's words in front of the realm-protecting Great Array made Xiaohua admire him very much. Seeing that there was hope, he hurriedly bowed to the vice sect leader Lien. Vice sect leader Lien, martial uncles, this disciple has brought back an extremely bad news. Please report it to the Lingxiang Hall. This matter is a bit tricky. Perhaps Taoist Master Xiao can be of some help to our Misty School. Ah! The vice sect leader Lien was stunned, looking at Yang Chong and Xiaohua. He said in a low voice, could it be that the devil race is going to launch a large-scale attack? Compared to the devil race, it's even more serious. Yang Chong said, not daring to say more. After all, the news of the great desolate star storm was too shocking. If an ordinary disciple knew about it, it would be hard to avoid panic. How could they still have the mind to fight against the devil race? Then, the vice sect leader Lien's face showed a slightly exaggerated nervousness. Looking at Xiaohua in a low voice, he said, Taoist Master Xiao, sect leader Lu is currently in seclusion. Junior, the burden on Junior's shoulders is somewhat heavy. This matter is so serious. Taoist Master came from the outside world. You must have a lot of experience. Is it possible for you to give Junior advice? All right. Xiaohua slightly nodded. The vice sect leader Lien was overjoyed, hurriedly bringing Xiaohua and a group of cultivators into the main hall. Everyone took a seat, and a disciple served spirit tea. Yang Chong took the spirit tea with both hands, respectfully offering it in front of Xiaohua, thanking Xiaohua for saving his life. Xiaohua took the spirit tea, took a sip, and said with a smile, all right, you don't have to be polite in the future. You rushed back to the Misty School from afar and brought back this important news. Just based on this action, this old man will definitely save you.